Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another great guest for you guys. Long been a fan of this guy's posts on Hive, PeakD, Blewitt. We are very happy to have you on board for the day. Azurcon brought it up a couple of weeks ago that you would make a great guest, and to be totally honest, we there's just so many cool people in the community. I'm always eyeballing people that I see posting cool shit and starting good conversation, and in the back of my mind I've got like a laundry list of folks, and doing one episode a week, it takes a while to get through there, but here we are. We finally made it happen. Shout out to Azurcon for getting the ball rolling there for us, and appreciate you taking the time to hop on. Wonderful to meet you, Blewitt. Good to have you, man.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm honored to be here. It's and thank you, Azurcon. I was very surprised when I got that message. So super cool of you guys to get me on here. Thank you so much.
And I think I owe you some sort of a bow or salute or something as the sentinel of my region.
Come on. I'd like to see my subjects. Yeah, badass. Castle. That's so cool.
Castle. That must have been a nice feeling when you popped that. Or did you buy it?
I pulled it. I have a recording of when I pulled it. I was on the phone with Steam Matt, who's been in our ecosystem and a friend of ours, and I was on the phone with him, and I had no idea he was recording, and I was opening up my LAN plots, and I was a maniac when LAN went live. For weeks I was plotting out, because I had a couple tracks worth and 2.5 tracks worth or whatever of plots, so I wanted that castle, and I was planning out, if a castle was discovered in whatever region, I was like, nope, wait until the next one, and I finally got to an area where I felt kind of good about it, and it was down to three tracks left, and I was like, it's one of those three, so I was like, so I did it, and I lost. and I was so irritated, and I was so salty that night, and then a couple days later, the opportunity came up again, and I planned it out, and I got it. And then I was on the phone with him while I did it, and then he tells me that he was recording and sends me the recording. So I do have the recording of it, and it's pretty embarrassing and cringy. And maybe one day I'll get brave enough to share it. So
screeching like a little girl.
I said something. I was like, "Oh yeah," or something. I don't even know what I said. I did something that was very embarrassing. I made up a word. I don't even. It was just one day, folks, one day.
Man, that sounds like internet gold, Blewitt. Like you definitely have to post that thing, man.
One day. We'll see.
Well, dude, I saw you're pretty active on Twitter, and your AI generated art is always kind of streaming across my feed. That stuff is beautiful. Definitely,
so
yeah, you definitely got the marketing chops. I saw you already coercing some guildies to listening to the epised, threatening to kick them out of the guild if they don't listen, which is brilliant. Right up my alley. Might have to hire you as the recruiter for the People's Guild here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about real world stuff before we dive into Splinterlands. I think that'll set us up nicely for a good little segue from planet Earth to Praetoria. But my understanding is you run a comics and game everything shop in the Jersey Shore. Can you give us the elevator pitch on what it is you do?
Yeah, sure. 16 years ago, my business partner and I decided to open up a comic shop. It's something I've always been familiar with. So I've collected comics since I was, I don't know, 8, 9, whatever. So I've been collecting for forever. And then I used to sell online back in, the early eBay days and everything, and do conventions. I went to, tons of conventions. I worked at a shop when I was a teenager. So I was always kind of surrounded by this stuff and always had a general interest in this world, toys and comics and just all that nerdy shit. And then when it came time after, I wanted a kind of a career change. I decided to open up a shop. We've been here 16 years, and it's just a monster of a store in terms of like the diverse selection of stuff. We have tons of statues, tons of Funko Pops, tons of comics, more than any place I've ever been to before. So if anybody that's listening ever comes out to the Jersey Shore, please come in. I'd love to give you a tour and everything, and send you away with some cool stuff and everything. So
What's it called?
it's called Conquest Comics, and we're in Bayville, New Jersey, on the Jersey Shore. We're kind of about 15, 20 minutes from the Seaside Heights, Toms River area for anybody that travels Jersey Shore. So
Sick. Well, I seem to remember seeing some photos of your shop, and it's one of the few times I've ever seen a Splinterlands promotional poster in the front of a shop. Do you guys see? We had shout out to Jeff Opens Cards, a past guest and a good buddy of the People's Guild.
Great
He
dude.
also runs a comic collectible shop in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, yeah.
Yeah, I think he is more of a Pokemon guy these days. That seems to be where the money's at in Wisconsin. But he said, and I wonder how true this is with your fan base, with your customer base, with your business partner. We did speak a little bit about the aversion to crypto off air, but I wonder if that extends to the customer base and of just more traditional collectible and comic shops. Does that Splinterlands poster get much traction with folks? Do you get a bunch of questions? What is the
No.
response?
Unfortunately, no. I have it hanging literally on the front. We're on a busy road. I get tons of traffic throughout the week, and it just doesn't. And I think that's for a few reasons. I think people are oblivious. They don't pay attention to anything. So I think that's one facet of it. But I also think that it's not a great poster. I think there needs to be some changes, and I do want to do something different. The problem is I feel like I'm not right now. I don't want to be onboarding people. I spent the first couple of years of myself being in the project trying to bring people on, and it's a challenge. There's a lot of hand holding. I know everyone knows that, who's ever tried to bring in a friend or bring in someone, and that's going to hopefully change with the the new player experience that's going to be coming our way, tutorials, things like that. And just some other things that need to be fixed before I want to start pushing it again. But I do have some cool ideas on what I want to do when that time comes. So hopefully maybe later this year, early next year, that type of situation when I feel like there's a few good changes that will not make it so there's people asking me 4 gazillion questions and texting me all the time and going, what do I do? How do I do this? So that kind of thing.
Would that be involving like live activities at your shop about Splinterlands or?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe once again, our store is packed. Like there's not
There's
a lot
nowhere
of
to
room
go. Yeah.
there's not a lot of room for events. It's like you come there to shop, you come there to soak it in, and but we do. I mean, we do a couple big events. What I think would be a good thing is we do one big event in the first Saturday of May every year. It's a big event called Free Comic Book Day. Most shops around the world participate. We buy comics, we give them out for free. Most stores run some sort of crazy promotion or have artists in or do some nonsense. We do a gigantic sale, and we have a massive crowd that comes in all day long. I think that would be a great opportunity for someone to come out, and I can't do it because I'm working the register and my business partner's on the floor and my other guys on the floor, so I can't have any involvement of working this thing. But I think a good idea would be someone came out to the shop and had a little iPad, or a little, and kind of did little tutorials, and you bring out free swag, t-shirts, just get a t-shirt, sign up for an account, play a battle, get a t-shirt, something stupid like that. There are hundreds of nerds that come into my shop, hundreds of people that come into the shop that love this kind of stuff. That could be a cool little way that I could kind of do something in my shop that crosses over into Splinterlands, or one way. I have some better ideas that I that are a little bit more ambitious and stuff, that we could talk about later.
Yeah, that sounds like a target demographic. It would be ideal to expose hundreds of people in one day to.
Yeah, and people love free shit. It's free comic book day. They're coming in like rabid. They're nuts, and they love free comics. So if we're giving away free Splinterlands mugs, free T-shirts, free hats, stupid shit like that, people are going to eat that up and sign up for an account and play a battle or whatever. And I think it's a great opportunity. So maybe we can. If anybody's in the area somewhere and wants to come out and do something, work with me to do something like that, let's talk.
Awesome.
I'd have to imagine you also have a lot of good like actual sales on Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, there's
sales numbers have to be high.
It's my biggest day of the year every year. It's imperative to have that day. Sometimes we're like really looking forward to that day. So it's by far our biggest and most successful day, literally every single year. So
do you see a lot of the kind of traditional comic book makers, collector item manufacturers, are they more and more starting to embrace the idea of digital collectibles, i.e. NFTs? Is there some crossover there that we can kind of lean into, and are you seeing some of that in your store, or is that kind of two separate worlds completely?
I don't think it's two separate worlds. I still think it's just something that most people don't know about, or they hear about it and they just go, it sounds stupid, or it's a scam, or whatever preconceived notion they're going to have on it. I feel just way too early, still. It's getting better every year. But I think, NFTs, I think, are generally, for the most part, lazy, or what people claim are NFTs and things. They they throw something out there with literally no use case, and it's just is lazy. I think when someone can figure out how to really connect the physical world with the digital world and give some benefits to I don't know yet. I'm not, I have no idea either. I just feel like until we reach that point, most people aren't going to care. Make it a perk to hold that thing, a real perk that they can use in life somehow.
We're definitely getting
there.
I think our driver's licenses, car deeds, everything's going to be an NFT at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, voter ID, for God's sake, blockchain voter ID, this whole election, everything about elections in the US, blockchain it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Voters are anonymous, but you as a voter can check the blockchain and see if your shit was recorded correctly, and then it's just the technology is there and we're moving towards it, slowly.
Yeah. Absolutely. What I would like to do with my shop is another way that I feel Splinterlands and because here's the reality. Most shops, I'm heavily invested into Splinterlands emotionally, obviously financially, all of that. So it's in my best interest. I want to promote it and put its best foot forward and so on and so forth. Most shops, if you ever approach them, like I've talked to people before, like, why don't we get gaming shops to do stuff with Splinterlands? And the reality is, most shops aren't going to give a shit, unless there's some real incentive for them to get involved. They're not going to promote some random digital, game that's not going to bring in any revenue to their store. So I think a cool way to do that would eventually be like reaching out to those shops at some point. Maybe this is down the road when we have someone who's like actually working real marketing here for us or something like that. And I think reaching out to shops and offering them the opportunity to like create their own character in the game, and they can have a real involvement in the game at that point and have their own, maybe their exclusive, like how we do promo cards and stuff. They can have their own promo to represent their store and sell to their customers and generate revenue that way. Like I don't know of any other way that you're going to get a store to sell or be involved with a digital game. I guess that makes it, if that makes any sense, because there's nothing for them to sell. So what I want to do in my shop as a comic shop is I would like to do like a variant cover for we do. All right, I'm probably jumping ahead of myself. I'm sorry. We do exclusive variants sometimes. So like we'll work with like Marvel, or like we've worked with Funko before to do like exclusive pops for our shop that you can only get there at our store. And I would love to do a cool promotion with like Splinterlands. And we tried it when we initially were working on getting Spawn. That was the first idea. And we came really close with it. Like we came to the 1 yard line, and it breaks my heart. But and I don't know what happened there, um, but I feel like the first time I went out and tried this, and we got a meeting with McFarlane. You know, he's one of the biggest comic creators on the planet, and if not the biggest. And he's got Spawn, and we were almost there. We were almost there. We were at the 1 yard line, and it makes me feel good that we almost got the biggest indie comic character with, you know, the biggest comic creator on our first attempt and everything. I think there's going to be time to get some other characters, you know, and have some success. There's a lot of other cool comic characters that I think would fit into the Splinterlands world. And what I like to do is, if we can land one of those, and I am going to work on that when we get, you know, the new player experience fleshed out a little bit more. If we can land one of those, and I think we absolutely can, I think, you know, not only will we be having a character, something like a, you know, a Lady Death or a Savage Dragon or Witchblade, or, you know, something cool like that, one of these cool comic characters involved in the game, but we can do an exclusive variant cover of that comic for our shop, and maybe include, you know, some sort of promo card in there that can translate into some sort of item in our world, you know, a totem or a skin for that card or whatever, and then we do a promo card for that character. So everyone kind of benefits here. There's a lot of synergy between comic shops, the creator of the initial IP, and Splinterlands, and we can all benefit from doing something like that. And I think that's a cool way how to get the cross over the physical world and the digital world. You know, you can sell a Lady Death promo card, and now she's on the game. But if you buy this comic, it comes with a code that comes with the skin that gives you bonus, or, you know, some nonsense. I don't know. I think stuff like that is where you'll get shops excited, when they can kind of have some sort of stake in it a little bit. So that's some dumb ideas I have.
That's huge. That would be epic. I mean, I can't even. SPS might even be at 2 cents if we got Spawn.
So close, so close.
At this point. Ooh, Gru the Wanderer. Are you familiar
Gru
with
the Wanderer? Of course,
Oh.
Gru the Wanderer. Sergio Aragones.
Yes, yes. I've got a stack of those somewhere. Yeah. He'd fit the Splinterlands realm pretty well, I think.
But I mean, there's so many characters that can, in reality, there's so many cool indie characters, whether it's horror based, and you can kind of do some sort of version of it. I mean, you can really do anything and kind of transform anything, you know. And I know people like to think like, oh, it's a, you know, that's such a far-fetched idea, but it's really not. Like, we were really close to getting Spawn, and it's like that makes me feel good knowing that. Like, there's plenty of other creators, and I would like to revisit Spawn at some point in time too, and Nate would too. We talked about that, and we both said we'd like to one day, when we're ready, revisit that. But there's so many other cool comic characters that I think would cross over. You know, Red Sonja, and you know, Bloodshot, and, you know, all sorts of cool characters that could benefit. And we would benefit greatly from having their presence. They would benefit by having a whole new audience. And I think you can incorporate the physical comic shop and stuff into that equation as well.
Yeah, and like you said, there's no, it's so open. It's not like it has to be a monster or some specific genre. I mean, it fits anything from like a fluffy Disney character, even, as we know, fits
literally
all the way down to these like gruesome monsters, and even Star Wars style, and the steampunk thing is in there already. Huge. They've done, that's, you know, the creative has done a really good job of creating this just all-inclusive fantasy world, you know, that again has a very unique look, but can fit so much.
Yeah, there's so much lore and room to kind of shoehorn in whatever nutty stuff comes our way. I think there's so many possibilities. Like, I get excited about it, and I love hearing when like Nate talks about it and he's passionate about it. It's kind of like the same energy and excitement I have when I'm like, and then we can do this, and then and I feel like a kid just kind of
booyah,
all super excited. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'm digging the steampunk direction. They started with Rift Watchers, so now they're going further into, I mean, Lorcus, and the new one coming up that's from AJ from EMP. You know, it's
very cool.
Yeah, kind of dig that look.
Super cool.
Yeah, brilliant, man. I love that you're already thinking, and you weren't joking about ambition here, but having these ideas of merging these two worlds of you know, our beloved Praetoria and the physical, and obviously you're very much involved with the traditional shop and thinking what's going to be attractive to your customer base. I think if you can get your business partner across the line, I think that's that's going to serve a very powerful precedent of what is possible with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's inevitable. PayPal, Venmo, like you said, Stripe, they're all moving to crypto. It's just a matter of time before he doesn't even have to think about it, and it's like one of the things you accept.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do more stuff with it. It's just it's hard to convince someone, especially my business partner, when he doesn't give a shit about this world. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. He's into different shit. And this is not. He's like the most of the rest of the world. We're the minority here. So for now.
Right, for now. And we forget that sometimes because so many people who have been in crypto so long, you forget that other people are still like really skeptical. It's funny, we're finally at that point where if you bring it up, a couple years ago or before the last bull run, more often than not, people would say, "Oh, Bitcoin, that's a scam," or you'd see that on the news, or people would actually say that, and now that's gone, pretty much.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
That's been eradicated. We've evolved past that, so we are slowly creeping towards mass adoption.
It's happening. I mean, look at weed. Like look at medical marijuana. Like there was just not that long ago, it was really, 15, 20 years ago, it was kind of frowned upon. Now it's like everywhere. And it's super cool. It's super cool.
Brilliant. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk. You hit on this a couple of times, Blewitt, and we've all gone through the original or I guess somewhat the current new player experience. We've all been onboarded into Splinterlands and therefore into Hive. And I can't tell you the amount of people that have reached out to me. I'm sure Jimmy has had some folks reach out to him, and Azricon has shared with me quite a bit the number of people that just responded to Azricon's kind of Hive overview a couple of weeks ago. And that just goes to show you that even though we've got all these people already in the ecosystem, we just don't know what's available to us. So despite being here for 2, 3, 4 years, there's still so much under the hood that folks are just discovering. And I think that really speaks to, the Splinterlands onboarding is rough. Like it takes months of hand holding, and even still, there's still stuff that we come across that I had no idea was possible. Like interactions with abilities, or how to rule sets interoperate with particular abilities. Like we talked about it, a little bit off air, that the slew of new abilities coming in, and obviously OG and noob alike, we're all kind of learning through this process together. So new player experience is something that has kind of been hailed as the hallmark development for 2024. We haven't seen a whole lot of it. I still kind of view new player experience as being this big nebulous, we don't understand, like what is this giant umbrella of new player experience, and when is it coming? So you mentioned that you onboarded a couple of folks in the past, and it's tedious, it's monotonous, it's difficult. What are some things that you kind of feel like are going to be the biggest home runs in terms of really, shifting the tide towards this is a self-service onboard, like you can onboard yourself hands-free sort of thing?
Like, what do I feel is needed for that?
Yeah, what do you think that new player experience umbrella should kind of tick off in the very first phases of this new onboarding experience?
I don't know what, this is not in order of importance by any means, but just some things that come to mind. How to get funds into the ecosystem. I know they can use PayPal and buy credits and everything like that, but just getting funds in is a tedious process, and that's one of the things that people who I've onboarded have come to me and kind of going, "What do I do? How do I do this? How do I get this in?" And it's because most of those people aren't familiar with crypto. The people that I brought in were I might be the minority here, or in the minority here, because the people that I've brought in are customers at my shop. People I've known through that source, and most of them are not familiar with crypto. They were kind of into trading, TCG games and stuff, and I kind of, when people were coming in and buying Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic, and I'm like, oh, you play a lot of games, and like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, cool, and then I would talk to them about it, and I would kind of pitch it, and they seemed interested, but they didn't know anything about this. So explaining that better, and how maybe, I guess, since we're kind of partnering up with Hive a little bit more and buddying up with Hive a little bit more, which is cool to see. Maybe, explain how they can use the benefits of the Hive ecosystem some way. But I think one of the most important things is just have a basic tutorial that kind of talks you through it, what this is, what this does, how this works, and maybe in order of importance when you're, starting out as a noob in this ecosystem. Make it. I love Nate's ideas of like making it like you're in a battle mage and all that stuff. I don't know if that's coming in this, in this type of iteration, or if that's a later thing. I hope so. That would be super cool. But I think you just got to explain it to people, and show them and make it fun. Don't just make it like a boring, tedious like test, right? Like make it fun, make it so, they go through the battle and they learn how to rent a cards and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's important. The list goes on and on, but I think having the basic rules explained to you, the importance of what maybe liquidity pools do, and how to get your grain, or not your grain, your DEC or your vouchers or whatever the case may be. Obviously mobile friendly is huge. I use mine mostly on mobile. I do most of my stuff on my phone, so I think that's important. Most of my my guild mates and people I brought in from the shop, they use their phone.
How's that looking?
So.
I know we've been going more and more towards that. A lot of the changes we've seen have been them changing the entire website to be more mobile friendly. I never use my phone. How's it looking on your phone these days?
It's not bad. I go through the Hive Keychain app, and it works pretty well. There's still some stuff that needs to obviously be fixed. I know the tech modernization that they've been working on. They just put some updates out obviously yesterday. The guild areas just got some love. I guess to switch over to the new tech modernization. So that's looking nice. I'll look forward to, as a big fan of land, I'll look forward to when they can tweak that a little bit more and figure out how to make that a little bit more user friendly, because there's a few things that I can't do on my phone, but I have to go home and do it on my computer, So like when you're doing that overall region look, and then you click on the or the whole the whole Pretoria, and then you click on your region and do all this, you can't really do that well on there. So but yeah, I think that's that. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm like you, Jimmy. I don't really do, I might look at my, if I get a ping from Splex or something that my brawl battle just went through, I might, check that out on my phone. But for the most part, 95% of my interaction with the game is all on PC. And battles, I think, is the last kind of piece of the puzzle for shifting over to mobile, right? And it's still, it is still, there's a lot to be desired there on mobile. Like you've got to scroll up and down to see the full picture of the battle. So I'll be curious how they translate that to mobile, what that'll look like. PC.
I still have to, like, when tactics screen comes on, I can't see the timer on top, because the timer is all the way on the top of the screen and your tactics thing is below. And I'm on a 13-inch thing. I'm not on like the huge thing, it's pretty compact. And I have to scroll back and forth. And where's the timer? And then how much time left? And where, I got to see my cards, and that's so I
zoom out.
I'll try that. I'll try this. I'll try the zoom out at some point. I'm not sure if I've done that before. I'll take a look.
Yeah, that should solve it for you. You should be able to see everything on one page.
Yeah. And with the new player stuff you were talking about, kind of what you were just describing. I mean, I've heard a few things. I remember originally, this was, God, it feels like ages ago at this point, when Nate showed us like a picture of the tutorial they were working on, and it was like that wizard guy. It was like some animal wizard dude.
Was that at Splinterfest, or was that
no, that was a town hall thing.
Oh, it was a town hall thing. Okay.
Yeah. And it was
Battles 2.0. That was Splinterfest.
That was Splinterfest. I would love that. That
would be cool too.
That was great.
I brought my friend. I'll get to it later. I don't want to put you off. Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. I was just wondering, like, if that tutorial did look immersive. Like the concept was going to be, you have this wizard dude kind of teaching you taking you through stuff. So I'm very curious to see, or anxious to see how that looks. If we're still in that direction, we have no idea. We might be. It looked great. And oh, now I totally forgot last town hall, because they're so far apart. Nate mentioned like there were 3 things that were just updated for the new player, and being that I'm not a new player, I don't know what they are. Like they were either 3 screens or does anyone know what that is?
I vaguely recall what you're talking about, but I'm also a little dumb and I don't remember at all.
Jangles, do you know what that was, perchance?
It rings a bell. I don't remember exactly what it was.
0 for 3. Struck out.
There's 3 things, and I was like, nice, we're getting there. What are they? What are they? And how
That's
can I
so
see?
funny.
I might have to start new accounts just to try the new player thing. And
I got to take some time and absorb and just kind of go page by page and see and check it out myself too. I just haven't had time to, because sometimes you will, just discover and be like, oh wow, they updated that. That looks really nice. That makes so much more sense, or whatever the case may be.
This is one place where I wish they would take more advantage of the community they have and just kind of test it out. I'd love for them to be testing it out on people. Hell, even give like some, raffle off access in tavern to bronze players. Like get some real world feedback on new people and what this tutorial is like, or what this experience is going to be like.
Well, there's a huge opportunity out there for the taking with all of we're still in the process of activating these liquidity bots, but we all know that it's real accounts that are being created. Obviously they don't have a spell book associated, so they can't earn, but give one person like a buddy system, set everybody, all the OGs up with a dummy account, get it fired up, walk through that new user experience. You can see where, start tracking click rates and where people are tracking their cursor, and what does that experience feel like for a brand new account? Because like you guys, I have no idea. I've had both of my accounts for almost 3 years at this point, and I haven't gone through, the hazing period that is the Splinterlands onboarding in just as long. So yeah, I'm with you, Jimmy. I feel like the opportunity's there. I'd love to see that happen. So Blewitt, you're pretty bullish on Splinterlands. You're a pretty, high energy guy. You've got the passion, and we love to see it. I'm curious, does any part of you feel any sense of concern that, here we are, it's September, new player experience has been, like I said, the one cornerstone of our focus for 2024. We with Matt and co came out first town hall of the year and said, this is what we're doing this year. Do you feel like we're moving a little bit too slowly on that front? Would you prefer, to see more of an iterative process versus achieving perfection? I love what Nate and co deliver. It just feels sometimes like maybe it's a little bit too few and far between. I'm curious how somebody like you sees that kind of, reflecting on the last 2.5 quarters of 2024.
Sure. Yeah. I'd be, lying if I said there weren't any concerns at all. I don't think the concerns are as dire as some of the, the naysayers say. I feel really confident about a lot of things. I feel like we are going in the right direction. I think one of our roughest spots is we are terribly slow. I wish we were quicker. I've kind of adjusted my expectations over the last, year to 2 years. Once I started to, at first when all these things were, back in the day were promised and all these other things, it's taken forever to deliver on them. And I do think that they are going to deliver. I just think that they're doing it really slow because of, probably a bunch of reasons. They're restricted and constrained by their budget, for devs and things like that. So they're working as hard as they can with what they have. There's so much that needs little tweaks and reworks and rethinks and a little time and dedication and attention. And I think I think this community, not just Splinterlands, but I mean like the crypto community and the Web3 community, we're a little, spoiled. We want to see instant gratification sometimes. We're very down when things are down, generally. And I think that that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I fully understand it. I don't know. What was the question again? Because I rambled.
Yeah, general reflection on I guess rate of delivery and how that kind of plays into your
Gotcha. That's
either optimism or concern for being able to deliver this. We had a very clear timeline of a very muddy, clear timeline of Q4 is really going to be when we're starting to ramp up marketing. We've got the funding from DHF coming in. That's going to be, going towards ramping up this marketing. At this point, I'm kind of asking myself a little bit, what are we going to be marketing, and when is it actually going to, when are we going to see rubber hit the road on this thing?
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, I think we're absolutely going to see some really good focus on marketing. I've actually talked with Matt about that when we were talking just recently and everything. So he's still figuring out, I guess, kind of what path to go, whether Web3 marketer or just a general marketer, figuring out the path and everything. I don't want to speak for him or anything, but I know they have a lot of decisions to make as to what to do with that money, and they want to make sure they use it as wisely as possible. And I hope they do. I think that they're waiting probably till the new player experience is fleshed out a little bit more, because if you're bringing people into the ecosystem, I feel like right now it's just still not ready. People come in and they still need a lot of hand holding. I think until it's ready to kind of go on its own, I feel like marketing money would be wasted at a time right now. That's just my own personal opinion. So I'm okay kind of waiting, keeping our heads down, working. I feel like we're making great changes. I feel like there's a lot of good, positive stuff happening. I came into this project because of Matt. Matt kind of, really brought me in. And I'm here for kind of his vision. So I'm kind of on board with, him kind of making the decisions, the decisions right now on what's kind of taking priority. And I think the new player experience is that probably one of the most important pieces right now, because we're not going to bring new people into the ecosystem if everything stays the way it is. So I hope they really nail it. I pray to God they nail it. But besides that, I feel really great about everything. I feel like we're in the right track regardless. I think no matter what, I think we're on the right track and making some great moves and everything. So
yeah, I feel the same way. And we're also though at a crossroads where, especially with marketing coming up, how we have to decide, or Matt has to decide, or the company has to decide what we are and how we want to market it. Because we don't have a huge
True.
marketing budget. I think it's like $400,000 we're getting from Hive. That can go really fast in the marketing world. Are we going to focus on being a Web3 game, and that's our demographic? Are we going to be focusing on more of Web2 and more being a TCG and ignoring the crypto aspect, or finding some hybrid? Because one of the things I did like hearing was, I believe it was Gator's interview here on the show, where he was talking about one of the things Matt's really thinking about right now is how to integrate players into the game who aren't earning and haven't bought a spell book, and really get that free to play aspect integrated.
Yeah,
which is very cool. But I think it might be, I always thought of it as two separate things. Like, you could have a mode where a guy can just go play battles and he's playing like just a bot or whatever. But it sounds like Matt wants to integrate these people into the whole ecosystem, but they're not earning, but they're providing match liquidity and they're getting soulbound rewards. But I don't know. It seems like it's a complicated integration, where I always thought it could just be, hey, you could go play over here and you could play whatever league you want, diamond level, champ, whatever, press play and give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then it tells you, hey, you could have earned this much SPS.
That is cool. I like the idea of saying, for these people who aren't earning, who are just coming on board, is let them know, hey, this is what you're missing out on. You could earn this, and let people know that. I think that's part of the tutorials. You gotta talk everyone through every step, and I think that's hugely important.
I kind of think now this made me realize, I think if I had to express a concern with things now, it is that the vision of like Matt and Nate and all these team members is fantastic. but I think sometimes it's too complicated to actually achieve. You know, like that if they were to make things simplify some things, it might speed up the process, you know, and we could take it a step at a time, you know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Probably, yeah. I think a perfect example of that is probably land. You know,
Yeah.
they you know they came out. It was, you know, we could get our plots. Then the map came out. We could do all that stuff. Then we can eventually work our plots with the, you know, the free limited resources or whatever that we could, you know, that we could mine and work on. And then there was supposed to be 2.0, this big 2.0 release with all these different resources, which is amazing, and I'm looking so forward to. But it's very ambitious to sit there and have all that stuff kind of planned. So that's a perfect example. Why not just do, yeah, here, every few months, here's 2 more resources. Here you go, idiots. You know, like, just, it's that simple.
And the reality is, when land came out, there were other games that had crafting, like on the blockchain games that had crafting, where you said, you take, here's 3 things, you throw them into this generator and you see what comes out, you know. And then you were crafting these NFTs, and we could do that on a very basic level. Hey, you got a plains plot, you're making grain, and then, you know, have a magical generator where you throw some grain in, and maybe I'm going to throw some firestone or whatever it is. See what comes out. You know, what am I generating for items and spells? We could do it on a simple level, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I think I know that they're looking at, I guess, I guess they're looking at doing exactly what we are just talking about, which is kind of doing, all right, we're going to throw a few elements in, you know, or, you know, a few things that you could mine. I don't know if they're doing ore or,
yeah, it's like
I'm
wood,
not exactly
stone, there's a handful of things. But again, I think we're just going to end up creating like this huge surplus of these tokens with nothing to really do with them.
Nothing to do. I agree. Give us a reason to
go
have
back
that right now.
4 years
basic
to the technology they had 4 years ago and say, I'm going to throw some wood and some stone in a freaking thing and make a new NFT that you can use. Here's a Warhammer that you can use. And, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I hope they give a reason for research points sooner rather than later, even if it's just, once again, a basic thing that gets you some sort of perk. Hey, all those people who were banking on research, which I have been as well. So, you know, I hope they give it some sort of, you know, some sort of use case sooner rather than later. You know, even if it's something small. I'd love to see small little steps. So I kind of agree with you there. I would love to see little baby steps going and get all these things done versus waiting for the big shebang and going in 2.0. Just give us a couple things every once in a while and give us a reason to use it. Something stupid. I know someone mentioned it might have been Aftersound or something, like a little scarecrow card or something that you could, you know, a disposable, you know, something that takes a hit on your team, you know, like give us something that you know, something to work towards right now, you know. So that's what I hope. I hope they can just kind of get eventually better with time management. Hopefully, as markets improve and if we get closer to peg with DEC and we start seeing, you know, the ecosystem kind of seeing some nice turnaround lately. So hopefully we can get all that, and then maybe eventually we can kind of maybe get some more devs. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I definitely think speed in this community, you know, we're generally a, you know, so we're a community. So
we've been hit with the enfeeble ability a couple of times.
A few times, yeah. I think embracing that iterative process and just giving folks something to spend these resources on, I think is gonna just shift the tone. And I love that scarecrow idea. A one-time use card is so cool.
Simple, great idea. Fantastic. You know, I don't know how you make it. You craft it, you do some nonsense, give land people a reason to go, all right, cool, this is a cool first step. We can see what it's going to be like, you know, and then and it gets people kind of excited for that stuff, you know. You got to give us something. And I don't know, and I don't know what that is. And this is not a knock on the team. They're all fantastic. I love every single one of them. This is one of my, you know, big parts of my life, you know, Splinterlands, and everyone's amazing. It's not their fault. They're just limited by too much to do and too little people to do it, you know.
And grand visions too, you know, like
and grand. You're right.
That was Aggie's Achilles heel was,
Yeah.
I understand that. I want to build 30 new amp models. Yeah, I got to do one at a time, and he
Sure.
wanted to he's like, wow, we could do all these cool new games, stuff. And it was too big,
Yeah.
and I think that's a generality of the team. They have all these great grand ideas, but really need to just zoom in a little bit more, just bring it in, pull it in a little bit, and focus on some small baby steps.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd
You
love
know,
to
here-
see more of that.
So-
Pulling the grand vision through the bottleneck is that's a tall task. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how much is to be said for it. We talked to Gator a little bit about this when we had him on not too long ago. We were asking about, is there any movement in bringing tactics into brawls and tournaments? Because that's a big part of gameplay. I love brawls. It's one of my favorite elements of the game, continues to be. But Rebellion kind of loses its luster a little bit by not being able to make that active choice of tactic, and it sets the precedent for items and spells, right? Which would really just further complicate, especially those two aspects of gameplay. So I wonder if that's kind of playing in the decision to table land and really figure out what does gameplay look like when we bring in items and spells, because we've talked about it. We've heard ideas of, maybe you extend brawls an extra 12 hours to allow for that tactic round. Maybe you extend, do the same thing to tournaments. If we did the same sort of approach with items and spells, all of a sudden a 2-day brawl period is turning into 4 days to account for these 2 additional rounds of tactics. Okay. Items and spells. Okay. So yeah, I wonder if that's playing into the decision-making of, okay, we've got to pump the brakes a little bit, slow our roll on delivering items and spells, and first kind of like pace out, figure out what does this optimal user experience look like for these great cool new things that we're bringing from land, which is so awesome. My mind always goes back to, I think it was Aggie that said, we're handing over the keys of the printing press to the community, which it's such a cool analogy. It's spot on.
Super cool.
But what does it look like? So yeah, I just wonder how much of that is actually an element of the decision making to focus efforts elsewhere.
I mean, I honestly don't know. I try not to, I follow as much of the stuff that gets out there on Discord, and I kind of stalk and read along and stuff. And I'm lucky to have Matt as a buddy, and I always pick his brain and see, just to see what's going on. But I don't pry. I don't ever ask any private info. I just kind of go, hey, so what are you excited about, right now and everything, or what are you finding challenging right now, or that's that kind of basic stuff. I honestly, that could play a part in it. I think a lot of times, there are a lot of, everyone always goes like, oh, why don't they just do this? And there's sometimes there's a lot of reasons, or there's very specific reasons as to why they just can't do that. And everyone, armchair quarterbacks and thinks that they know the right way the whole time, and there's so many cooks in the chefs in the kitchen, that whole thing. I think it's tough for them, and I think the main thing is they're just limited. I think there's just not enough devs, not enough time, not enough money right now to kind of tackle the things that need to get done in a super efficient way, or a super quick way. So I've accepted it. Like, I know this stuff's going to happen. I feel so confident in the world of Splinterlands success and everything. I've already come to terms with it's probably going to take longer than whatever they say for the most part. Once in a while I'll be surprised, but I'm okay with it. And we just got to kind of wait through it, I guess.
I mean, the bull runs every 4 years, man. We missed this one, we got the next one.
Yeah, it'll happen at some point. Things will start clicking. I hope we see some real improvement in obviously that we mentioned the new player experience. I hope things that I would like to see in the next, I don't know, sometime, I guess maybe early first quarter next year, or some next 6 months, something like that, 6-7 months. I would like to see, obviously, the new player experience be just kind of a new player can come into the ecosystem and kind of whiz through all the stuff that they need to kind of learn, make it a little bit of a game, make it fun, make it rewarding, make it immersive, whatever. I'd like to see some elements for land be introduced. I would love to see that as a land guy, big land guy. High hopes for it. Give us a reason, to kind of be invested into it and really excited, And I think giving us a few elements and a reason, maybe give research points some sort of use case. And I know Matt said he wanted to do node stuff, the validator nodes and have all those licenses and stuff. I guess focus on all that stuff. I don't know if that's still a
funded.
priority.
That's funded, so that should be
Yeah.
going. I would.
It should be happening. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
tough
so-
because I've heard so many times that we're almost done. That's I think
Yeah.
another thing that makes it tough sometimes is you hear, hey, we're almost done, and then it's like, well, we need $500,000 to finish, and
Yeah.
we don't know how far away we actually are. Or we don't on our end is what I mean.
Yeah, we have no
It's been
idea.
almost done for well over a year at this point.
Yeah, and that's a big one. And I know that's what, Matt's talked about it several times on town halls, that's a big one for him. He feels it's an important piece of the puzzle for his vision. So while it's not the most exciting thing in the world for most people, if the guy who's kind of, overseeing the vision of this project and everything is saying this is an important piece, we need guys, we need to figure this out to kind of, be taken seriously. I don't know.
I think that's a big part of why we gave him the funding too. That's why the DAO said, okay, yeah, here's the boss is saying we need this. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think having that checked off would probably, that would probably feel good for him and the team to kind of check a big thing off their list. And I'd like to see that kind of stuff happen in the next several months, because then when all that stuff happens, we can really start tackling, targeting and figuring out the whole marketing thing, which hopefully they're going to be working on in the meantime and figuring out a strategy as to how to go forward. So that way, when we're ready to rock, hopefully crypto bull run, Bitcoin's booming, all these things are kind of happening all at once. And I feel really good about our chances. So,
yeah.
The key would be an explosion when you land on the splash page. I think that would just solve all our problems. It explodes into the Splinterlands logo. And I'm kidding, of course, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jangles.
No, you're good, man. Jimmy's big on the explosions. Let's get some bloody explosions in this thing, huh? So Blewitt, you mentioned armchair quarterback, and we've kind of seen this conversation come and go over. I guess we've had DAO proposals, DAO voting, proper governance for a year and a half at this point. I want to say we got it last maybe January, or has it? Have we hit 2 years? I want to say maybe a little bit earlier than that. But we've seen the conversation come up where we are our own worst enemy when it comes to the DAO. There's been a couple of proposals that maybe we should have passed when we failed. There's been a couple of proposals that we probably should have downvoted when we passed them. And we've seen this conversation kind of rise up again in light of the mishap yesterday with the voucher stuff. I've seen quite a few folks kind of come out on Twitter and Discord saying, we should have just listened to Matt and got rid of vouchers, and that would have solved all the problems. So I'm curious your thoughts on the DAO, Blewitt. Is governance at all exciting to you? Do you tend to stay pretty engaged with the happenings of DAO proposals and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I like staying, up to date on what's going on. Obviously, I'm on Splinterlands every single day. It's it's literally a part of my day, which is nuts to think about. But yeah, I try to keep up to date on that. Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's a great idea. I don't know if it's the right idea. I love it, the idea of it, if it worked and if people weren't irrational and emotional. And that's the main problem, is we're human beings, and when you're mixing money and time and all these things that passions and things like that into it, I think we can be emotional. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything. I just think that that comes into play sometimes when you're dealing the politics of the Splinterlands. I do think it comes into play, and I wish there was a way for us to communicate our I guess our point of views in a more productive way. And I think that's probably the biggest problem, is that it's just human beings. It's just throughout history, every time you try to put people together to govern, it just kind of goes to shit to some degree, you know, and I feel like this is probably going to be no different. I love the idea of it, and I think it could work to some degree. But I think there will always be some aspects to it that are not perfect, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to see it again focused a little bit more. I think we've expanded, you know, that like it's very, the DAO is basically the only real authority it has is over SPS
Yeah,
distribution, you know, and it's been
all over the place.
it's been included, everything's been included in DAO proposals, and I don't think that really should be the case. You know, I
Yeah.
think if they want to take surveys to get sentiment, cool, we could see what the stake weight is. I love the new survey idea where you see stake weight and you see player numbers, who voted for what. I would really personally love to see just proposals have nothing to do with gameplay and all that stuff and just SPS. and that would
Cool.
eliminate like 90% of the drama that we see. Like I still go back to the Rift Watchers DAO thing where, you know, the DAO's screwed a lot of people on the pre-sale, and they really there was no authority to do so there. It was not a DAO call. You know, that was an early indicator for me. I was like, oh,
That's what it was. The DAO voted on that, right? And they were just like, yeah, don't refund or
Yeah.
whatever it was, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it was like right away, like when it happened, it was
Yeah.
a mistake on the website. And I remember it was live. That was when we used to do these live events.
Yep.
When
Yeah,
stuff
those are fun.
was on. And Matt right away, he's like, oh, we'll just make that right. And then Aggie jumps in and says, no, let's do a DAO proposal. Because the DAO was like brand new. It was literally proposal number 4. And then that just like the way that unfolded, I was like, oh, this is what is it, a harbinger of doom.
Yeah.
Come, you know?
That was the start. The cat, you know, the cat was out of the bag there. So it was it's kind of a mess. How people are. I do have hopes that we'll figure it out. Or at least figure it out to figure out how to work together for the most part and everything like that. I do feel like we will mature and that things will get better. And I also think sentiment is plays a big part of it. When things are down, there's a lot of, you know, just dooming and glooming and people just feeling down, and it's hard to feel up. You know, we're all, you know, a lot of us are down, you know, depending on when you came in or what you focused on or whatever the case may be. So it sucks to see that. You know, I saw, you know, all the guys I recruited into my guild from my store and things like that, you know, they're all down and it sucks. I sold them on this, oh, this is great, you know, decentralization, Web3, it's a game. You can win money, you know, and you know, so it's tough to see, but I think the people who are here right now, for the most part, really want to be here. You know, I think for the most part, I think 6 months ago you could have said, I think a lot of people that wanted to leave left. And I feel like, you know, we are on the right track for things. You know, I have high hopes. I'm kind of more of an optimist, and I have hopes that we'll figure it out with the DAO. I do think it can be scary, and I do think we're gonna get it wrong sometimes. And hopefully we don't get it too wrong to where we can't correct it and everything. That's another thing. People are always like, you know, oh, it was in the white paper, this and that. You know, like if something's not working, even if it's in the white paper, like we need to fix, you know, something. If there's an inherent flaw, or you know, and I wish people would kind of accept that a little bit too, you know, and just kind of go like, all right, we're figuring this all out and kind of winging it, you know, like we don't really know how any of this is going to work. We're trying to combine gaming and crypto and Web3, just all these decentralization, and it's a nutty idea. And people are complex, so I think that I think patience is something that I wish more people had. You know, you know,
it's a big ask there, Blewitt.
It's a huge ask, and on the flip side, I really understand. I don't want to make it sound like I'm shitting on, you know, our base. I love our base. I interact with them literally every day on not so much on Discord. I kind of lurk on Discord for the most part. Once in a while, I get involved, but on X, I'm pretty active, and it's a lot of fun talking about the project, and you know. I love them, and I think that everyone brings up great points. I just think collectively we need to kind of just take a step back and go like, all right, Splinterlands is going to get it wrong once in a while. You know, they're going to get something wrong once in a while. They're going to get stuff right too. You know, and the DAO is going to get stuff wrong once in a while. We're also going to get some stuff right, and hopefully we do enough of those right. We make enough of those right decisions that puts us in a good spot, and we can kind of grow from there. My hopes are.
You know, I agree with a lot of what what you were saying there, Jimmy, and Blewitt also, the question kind of pops up in my mind is how do we draw a more black and white differentiator between what belongs in a DAO proposal versus what should be a purely company decision? You know, it's really tough to say because the polls that you just brought up, Jimmy, I think is a great example. And we've heard time and time again, Matt suggest, if I feel like that's something that should go to the DAO. If you don't like it, then you should propose, the reward card, unbinding stuff is a great example. I think for all intents and purposes, that's the DAO overreaching, but the solution suggested from Matt was put the proposal out there. We'll look at the sentiment. So how do we navigate this decision-making process when, I personally don't know if SPS staked should be involved when we're gauging customer sentiment. And maybe it's just leveraging the poll system that exists on Hive. And then we should just be looking at popular vote. I haven't really thought through what that could and should look like, but I agree with you that there has been a lot of stuff, and we here at the People's Guild put a couple of proposals out there that probably did cross the line of what should be decided by the DAO, but that was the best means to an end of getting a decision there. So,
well, Matt also has been encouraging that in town halls, saying, "Hey, if you don't like something, even game related, he's like, write a proposal, like straight from his mouth." So that I think that's why we kind of had squashed that for a bit, where it was getting, there was proposal madness for a while. Everything was a proposal, and then we kind of, got it back to where it was more focused on just SPS type things would be proposed. And then, and then the gameplay stuff got kind of suggested to be proposals again. So,
yeah,
from the boss saying, hey, make a proposal. So people did.
Yeah, I think that I think the main thing is just time and trial and error. I think that's what's going to kind of hopefully help kind of set us on a more prosperous path with the DAO, and figuring out how the DAO can generate funds and what it can do. There's a lot to think about. There's where FPS rewards are going to come from in a few years. There's a lot to think about. And I do think that we need to start having these conversations and just, I think it's just going to be time and trial and error, and we're going to figure things out over time, or we're going to fail. like it could fail. I don't think it will. I think we can figure it out. I think we have enough smart people here to help lead the way, and ambitious people. And I think under the right set of circumstances, we're just going to figure it out over time. I don't mind. I like the idea of, having it kind of focus on the SPS related decisions and so on and so forth, its purpose, its initial purpose, and so on and so forth. But I also don't mind the fact that, like, I like the idea that Splinterlands or Matt, I don't know who makes the decisions here. You say Matt, Matt says it a lot. Like, kind of, all right, just make a proposal and we'll see what the people say, I like the kind of idea of, like, to a degree, the people do have some sort of say in the direction of this, this stuff. If it's not a game-breaking decision, if it's not, if it's obviously, I'm sure, Matt would step in, or someone else would step in and go, hold on, doing this is gonna, screw up a lot of stuff or screw something else up. But if it's something minor, I don't mind that the players have some sort of, it gives them some sort of real involvement in the guidance of this game. So I like the idea that it can happen. We're probably going to screw it up sometimes, just because we're people. But I like the idea behind it. I think I'm just an optimist. I think like, oh, this could all work. It could all go to shit just as easily. I don't know.
Well, it's a beautiful experiment, right? And like you said, we're all in it together. We're all learning on the fly. And I'm with you, man. I think that's one of the coolest things that attracts me so much to this game is that we do have a say, and the company does care about what we, more often than not, they do care about what we have to say, and they listen to that feedback, and we'll usually get a pretty candid kind of asterisks at the start of that conversation saying, hey, look, whatever the community decides, we will honor it. And that, kind of opens the door for the conversations to begin and working towards a decision. I just wonder,
Sure.
In what circumstances do we want SPS governance? In what circumstances do we just want to look at popular vote? And where do we make that decision as to which falls into which bucket?
Well, that's where I really like those new polls that show both. It shows the stake weight and it shows popular vote. I hope that the team decides to embrace more of that.
Could popular vote be botted though, with people who have accounts, tons of accounts and things like that, to manipulate any sort of?
Yeah.
If you're taking some sort of high full, there's bot farms with tens of thousands or whatever of accounts. I mean, what's to stop? And once again, I'm not saying that this is a worse way to do it or a better way. I have no idea, but could that happen? I guess probably
100%. Yeah, I would have.
Yeah,
I mean, I would have to imagine that you would have to gate that vote somehow by, you've played X number of battles in the last week. You've got X number of CP tied to your account, something like.
Or a
something
minimum
like that
requirement. You have to have 1,000 SPS stake to vote.
Yeah, sure.
Minimum. There are ways to mitigate it, but yeah, it's definitely real. And also, if all of a sudden 1 million accounts vote where that happened last time,
11 votes last time. This time 2.5 million.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk promo cards, voucher card. We saw the voucher card go live yesterday. Promo cards coming next week? Is that right?
I missed the exploit and I didn't take advantage of getting a cheap voucher card. God damn it.
I did not either.
I did
buy some, but I didn't swap any DEC or anything like that.
No, I saw a bunch of people in taverns saying, "Oh, I'm buying cards. Vouchers are cheap." I just wasn't there.
Yeah, man, that's such a sticky situation. Like, the players aren't at fault. We've heard the whole code is law argument, and I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, there's obviously an exploit going on. Somebody took very clear advantage, and now the company's out 20K at least. I think on the low end, it's 1.1 million vouchers. On the high end, it could be up to 1.8 million vouchers, which that's a big problem.
Yeah, it sucks. It really sucks.
And I saw I don't know if Gator's listening to this, but I saw him, he's taking it pretty hard. He's accepted the blame, accepted the responsibility. He came out and said, it's my fault. I should have, postponed going live again a little bit longer and double, triple check the code. But at the same time, there's a team of folks working on this thing. We're not here to point fingers.
Person should never.
Exactly.
This is just it. This is life. Mistakes are going to happen. I'm grateful that it was. I mean, yeah, it sucks regardless, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that is about it is that it sucks. Just that someone took advantage of it, and that we were kind of doing. I feel like riding a little couple nice waves of feeling good about things for the most part, and it's just a kind of a little deflating, punch in the gut. For the community a little bit and everything, and that sucks. But I'm grateful it wasn't for anything big. It's whatever 10, 20 grand, whatever, or however much it ends up being. It sucks and it's very unfortunate. And Gator, don't beat yourself up too bad, my friend. We're all human. We've all done stupid shit. We've all made mistakes, and and
it's not even his fault alone. Yeah, I think he's just accepting the responsibility as being
this
VP
went through a
of
bunch
engineering.
of people. Like no one caught it. So and it's just life, and there are people out there who are going to look for every advantage too, and that's unfortunate. And I don't know the person who I saw the name, but I don't know that person personally or anything. But it it sucks. It's a kind of a little punch in the gut. So, but I think we will be fine. It's a little setback again. We're used to setbacks. we're used to gut punches. We're okay. So I think we'll be fine in the long run, and once we get past it, and hopefully focus on some cool new updates coming in the next few months and everything. So, but yeah, it sucks.
Looked like you were going to say something there, Jimmy.
Oh no, I was just saying I reverted back. I time traveled about 10 minutes back in the conversation where I was going to say something that we I always look at what we do have. You know, we were talking about succeeding or maybe failing or something. The game itself is awesome, and it's just
Yeah.
site's been getting better and better and better. And what it actually exists, you know, it's been around for a long time. It's worlds better than any other, you know, Web3 style game that I've seen. I don't play a lot of them. You know, I know people who do, and I see some of the stuff, and it just seems like we're have such a good product that if we just get through some of the hard stuff right now and focus a little, we can really
We got a
get
winner.
those million players. We deserve a million players. The game can easily have a million players.
Oh yeah.
Active
Yeah.
human players. It's not unrealistic at all.
And people think that's so far-fetched. Like, people,
It's
like
not.
people,
Yeah.
some of the naysayers in the community, they're like, oh, they'll laugh at that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I kind of believe it will, but
Yeah.
at some point and everything, like I can absolutely see the path there. It's not that hard at all
Exactly.
to get there. If a couple things, if just a couple of things, go the way as planned, and there's no big hiccups and everything like that. I think there's so much bullshit that can happen. I think people sell it short sometimes. And for yeah, it could all, it's a very risky idea and proposition. It is, but I think there's so much potential in this space, and there's enough smart people here trying to navigate through it and figure it out and forge a way through it. I think there's going to be some really cool stuff happening in the future for us.
Agreed. And we've also got 6 years in the bank of learning.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we've been here doing stuff like Jimmy was saying, this is a polished project. I know it's not perfect and it's got it's still got a long ways to go, but like think of how complex this is behind the scenes. How everything flows once land is integrated into it, once all this stuff, if it does happen, which I think it will. Think of how complex that is. You can have this whole resource management game, and then you can craft some items that you can then sell on, that people can then use in battle to earn some. Like it's so complex and crazy. And if they can get it right, and I think they can. I think the sky's the limit. I think there's so much cool stuff that can happen. But I think a
Yeah.
lot needs to go right. I think a lot needs to go right. Uh, and it's not going to be an easy path.
Yeah,
And there will be hiccups along the way.
we could definitely use some alignment of stars, man. I feel like like you said, man, we've suffered a shit ton of gut punches over the last couple of years, and it feels like
Yeah.
we're long overdue for something to just come up lucky for us. Fuck,
My
man.
belly's sore. This is
Getting my
oh
belly.
my God, I gotta ice my belly.
Well, okay, one thing that concerns me that is just a worry at this point, a slight
Sure.
worry, is let's say the stars line up. We need product on the shelf when that million people can, like when we do when the stars line in, if something happens and all of a sudden we have 10,000, 100,000 people hit the website on one day at one time,
Yeah.
are we going to have product for them?
Free comic
All right.
book day.
Yeah, every comic. I guess that could also be mitigated by Matt's plan of allowing free play, where you don't need to buy cards to play. Now that I'm thinking about it, that could completely alleviate that problem completely.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say one of the biggest things that has really got me excited recently was the introduction of the ghost card challenges, ghost card tournaments being able to be created by players. I think there's only a handful of folks that have access to creating those tournaments, but the ghost card challenges are awesome. And we talked about it. Mondroid was the one kind of championing the idea of allowing ghost cards to play at a very reduced max ghost cards to play at a very reduced rate of earning. I think we need to talk about that again. I mean it's kind of like the idea that Matt is already coming around to with allowing accounts to earn soulbound cards without having any sort of investment in the game. I don't know if that includes not having a spell book. I would guess so, right? Like you could just sign
That's
up
what Gator was saying, like
and
where you can do
go.
all this stuff without a spell book, and then once you get the spell book, you're able to start earning. And it
Right.
sounded like these non-earning accounts were integrated into the existing system and the battle system. So like you could play against someone who isn't earning anything and has no spell book.
Hmm.
That's what it sounded like. I almost think Vedev's, little shout out to Jimmy Vedev over there, but his kitchen table game mode for all sounds just like such an easy solution to all of this, where you go in there and it's almost like the challenge system, but you don't need someone on the other end. You just hit battle. And, if you want it random the way it is in ranked, or if you want to set parameters, you can just play, and it's a bot that you play, and you could even set
Yeah.
the difficulty level.
Yeah.
And like just having that seems like it would be super easy. It wouldn't be resource intensive to operate. Yeah.
That's super cool. One thing I think you just mentioned, having products for people, and everything, to buy and everything, if all these people come in and everything, I do think that, one of the cool things that are coming up eventually, and I hope they tackle it sooner rather than later, is like the skins and cosmetics or glamours, whatever they're calling them. I think that's a great idea. I play Fortnite, and I love my, this is Marvel season right now. You got a ton of cool skins that you can get. They have challenges. They call them quests, daily quests, and it's just a bunch of random shit. And I work my way and get all these cool skins. I think give people a reason to want to also continue outside of the monetary aspect, outside of the reward cards. Give them some sort of challenges to complete throughout the course of their day, and that they earn some sort of, some bullshit, glamour that's just, common glamour that changes the cosmetic look or whatever, on some cards. Like that's really cool. And just having cosmetics in the store in general. Hardcores are gonna pick it up. I think it's going to be a cool thing, and a good way for the company to make some sort of revenue and everything, by selling, something that's not going to really affect the ecosystem. It's just more for personal preference. And I think I hope that comes out sooner rather than later. I think the sky's the limit on that.
We know people have been asking for that for years at this point.
Yeah.
And well, this is where again it might come down to that vision being too grand. I know Nate
Mhm.
really wants skins to have utility,
Yeah.
but that's something you can integrate later. Just start by giving people cosmetics like that.
Yeah.
People have been asking for it, and then you want to add utility down the road, do that. But
Yeah.
this is that
I agree.
challenge, part of the challenge we face, I think. They have these awesome ideas, but they're really hard and sometimes unrealistic to implement everything at once.
Well,
just step at a
on the
time.
flip side, I do feel like, for all those folks who feel like maybe we missed the mark on removing vouchers, I feel like the voucher shop might, light a fire under the team's ass to make that happen, where skins become available sooner than later through the voucher shop.
Yeah. Make some skins voucher shop only,
Yeah, exactly. Or backgrounds,
different
or
ones,
new
yeah.
music, or I mean, the sky's the limit.
Literally they literally can just do a whole bunch of crazy cool stuff. Like, and I don't know how successful it will be ultimately right off the bat, but I bet people are going to get a little excited if it gives them. I love the idea of like daily quests or challenges to like work towards goals, because I feel like that brings people back, and it makes them want to grind away. I know when I'm playing, Fortnite, if I'm super close to leveling up to the next level or whatever the case may be, or knocking something off that list, I grind a couple more games out or whatever. And I think give people a reason outside of the monetary aspect. Everyone is always so concerned with ROI and all that other stuff. Like, give people a reason outside of it. Give them some goals to work towards every day, and maybe those goals lead to some basic skins or something like that. Like, it costs the company, yeah, what I mean.
Dude, I think you're so spot on. I think we have seen such a focus from a large part of the community on ROI because there hasn't been this other stuff.
Other aspects, yeah.
Yeah,
hasn't been other aspects.
I feel like as soon as I'm able to and just to interject my own thought real quickly, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think Nate was talking about reintroducing the quest system on the last town hall, and that's something that's coming up sooner than later. But yeah, just give customers, give players. I mean, at this point, I feel like most of us just enjoy the game for the game. Like our money is like hobby money at this point. Like we've invested into to play this really fun card game. Yeah, some ROI would be fantastic. SPS going to 10 cents, 20 cents would be wonderful, and life-changing for a lot of folks. But in the meantime, man, I would love just to be able to customize my own experience with Splinterlands, whether it
Yes.
is through backgrounds or skins or music or challenges, whatever.
Yeah.
The appetite is very, very real, and it's insatiable for that cosmetic stuff. Like as soon as you
Yeah.
start getting that ball rolling, maybe you see Blewitt's tweet showcasing a different background, and it gives me something else to work for. Like, oh man, I really should have spent my vouchers that way. Well, that's my next target, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
You've done that, right? Didn't Baron's Toolbox have background swap
it's
availability?
XBot. It's still available.
XBot.
Yeah, and
XBot.
he Siler, I don't know if he listens to the show, but he I don't think he was very wise in his choice of naming convention. He called it XBot Battle Helper. So I do have the XBot Battle Helper plugged in, but it is not the Battle Helper that has the bad name. It gives you the ability. It gives you the ability to change the backgrounds in your battle. It gives you the ability to, I think, go up to 12 or 15x speed. I think it really gained ground with the.
That's pretty cool.
That's nuts.
Well,
Yeah.
you needed it for the Grimbardoon era.
Battles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew as soon as that rule set came up that you were going 25 rounds and it was going into to fatigue. You don't want to sit there and watch on 4 speed. Like, come on.
Yeah, I've been asking
15x still takes a while.
Skip ahead, skip to round 21.
Yeah, if there were a ticker on the bottom where you could just fast forward to rounds, or you could, if I could share a link, if I could share a link to a specific round where some wild shit happens, if it's like around 18, that's like a 5-minute battle. I'm not going to expect anybody to go out and actually watch that if you've got to, suffer through 17 rounds of boring before something exciting happens. Yeah.
Just had a vision of a form of torture where Jangles is tied to a chair with his eyes pried open and he's forced to watch at 1x speed the Grimbardoon battle.
Lily Grimbardoon. Oh god.
45 rounds.
Make it end. Make it stop. Yeah. Well, I think that the opportunity is right, man. I feel like there's so many easy wins. I don't think we're asking for the moon. I think there's a lot of stuff that, it's within grasp. I think, we've got to, to your point, Jimmy, I think we've got to set aside the grand vision is awesome and it's something to work towards, but we've got to, there's rungs on that ladder between where we currently are and where that grand vision sits. And as long as we're progressing a rung at a time or half rungs at a time, like the community is going to be satiated. The community is going to be satisfied.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that the team definitely is going to hopefully figure out a good balance between their overall grand vision and what they can, get out that makes sense to do kind of in baby steps and figure out some sort of happy medium there, because I think the community would be happy seeing, a small little land update, or we've been kind of seeing it with like tech modernization. It's been a slow rollout. It's not like it's not like this project they've been waiting for. They've been slowly rolling out, little drips and drabs here and there and everything. So, I hope that eventually it would be nice if we could get, even like you said, basic skins. We could always figure out the other stuff later, whether they give bonuses on in battles, whether they enhance a stat. That's a cool idea. I've seen thrown around before or something like that. Like there's definitely some cool ideas, but that stuff can come later. I'm gonna guess the main holdup with skins is probably just building out the system around it. Is probably what it is, because they said Nate and his team have been working on art for a long time now, alternate art styles and stuff for a lot of these characters. So it seems like a lot of that stuff is already kind of sort of done. So I'm gonna imagine it's just kind of the time and the manpower and everything, the resources to kind of build out the system around it. So hopefully that's something that comes sooner rather than later. So I do think it's a great opportunity.
I'm suspecting utility for skins is the holdup. That's my guess.
Maybe
That's my guess.
it may be. I think
Because I
it's
know we've
so
had
too.
skins for years. Like Chaos
Yeah.
Legion had alternate, thing, and we've seen. I remember used to show us in town hall, like here's like 3 versions of the same character, same like basic
yeah,
outline, but slightly different colors and slightly different things going on.
sure.
And who just said they found some? I think that was Gator on this show. He stumbled across some alpha animations, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
How cool would that be?
Yeah. I
I'd
wonder if
love
that's ever going to
animation.
see the light of day. I don't know.
That's bull run stuff, man. That's bull run
Yeah,
stuff.
that's bigger thinking, I think.
Like
down
here,
the
we're
road.
gonna sell this animated alpha skin for
Yeah.
money that goes to the company during a bull run. Do it. Here's a Lord of Darkness animated skin. That'd be awesome. I might buy something
Yeah.
like that,
Taunts, you could do taunts, or something's cool. Like there's so much cool ideas that you could do.
Mhm.
Um, the sky's the limit. It's just I think a lot of things once again need to happen beforehand. These are down the road, visions and stuff like that. But basic skins, I think, can be sooner rather than later. I hope so. I hope they're listening, and I hope they're really working on that stuff, and gonna get it out sooner or later. Because I do think it's revenue for the team if they can figure out how to, properly price stuff and monetize that there. I think it's a good sync for for vouchers. I think obviously DEC. I think you can make cool stuff. You can do cool, I don't know, promotions. You could do a lot, contests. There's a lot of cool things you can do, because if it's basic skins and it's not something that's going to have any real effect on the game and it's just some sort of cosmetic, there's so much you can do with it,
Well, we heard for a long time that the biggest pushback was new players not knowing. I'm accustomed to Oceanus looking this way for years, and I think it was Nate that came out and said, "Well, I'm really concerned that a player sees the alternate skin and doesn't know what that card is." And I feel like that's such a
Gotcha.
cop out. I feel like that's such a cop out. Like there's so many ways around it.
I think
Like-
in his defense, he was talking about, like, if you look at the old like alpha skins, they look nothing like the original card. You
Yeah.
look at that old shark, saber shark.
Mhm.
It's like I still am like, what is that? Oh, that's saber shark, because it was so different. And I think they've mitigated that, like by those alternate, it would be like the same picture of Oceanus, but he's wearing a different color thing, or his beard is red.
His
instead of black.
yeah.
Just those subtle variations.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, to both y'all's points, hopefully it's sooner than later. But so before we talk about the promo cards, we've already seen the stats, we've already seen the abilities, some very cool new abilities coming for both. Well, I have some big questions for one of the abilities, but a very cool ability and a very cool ability concept for the other. But to the collector, and you blew it. So you said you're very particular about what you collect these days. I would guess that an exception is probably made in the world of Splinterlands. We saw I think it was a voucher auction or a DEC auction, 1 of 1 for 100 days. Is that something that piques your interest? Are you going to be, scrimping and saving and looking under couch cushions for DEC to try and get your hands on at least one of these things?
I'm a little bit of a maniac when it comes to this. I try to have as much of a full modern deck as possible. I'm still chipping away at some rebellion and things like that, but for the most part, I have most of the modern cards and everything. I have, anything recent over the last few years, I pretty much have for the most part. So the idiot in me is going to want to get it. I think I'm going to watch at first. If it's 100 days, it's a cool idea. I like the idea behind it. It's different. It's thinking outside the box a little bit. It's something that's going to be really exclusive. And I think one thing we need to get over as a community, I see we generally, and I do think. Let me backtrack. I do think that the promos are priced high. The recent promos that are coming out, I do think they're priced high. I also think that that's kind of okay. I think that not everybody needs to have everything. These are promos. These aren't part of the basic set. This is something special and unique and limited. And I'm okay with that idea. But I hope that I hope that I'm sorry, bear with me 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry. Where was my train of thought? I was answering something.
Squirrel,
I got
squirrel.
so I got
The
completely sidetracked right now.
no, that's all good. Promo
Exclusivity,
pricing.
high prices, exclusivity. I mean,
Yeah,
I agree with you, man. I think that there should be definitely 100%. I love this auction idea. I think there should be a
that's what
lot
the
of
auction. That's right.
exclusive, unique, very high price items. I think there should
Yeah,
be kind of like a VIP club of people who do that. I think
yeah,
that's a feature, not a bug, and could be a huge focus point for collectors, for investors, for
yeah.
all types. But I think we've been leaning a little too much in that direction, and
I agree.
we need the balance. You
I think
know,
we need both. I think we need to
yeah,
make
yeah,
some stuff. I think having promos that are going to be cheap, even if they're not terribly effective or they're not having something that new people can come in or people that don't have big bucks to drop on this stuff.
right.
I think we should have both of these things. I'm okay with having the higher price, very limited stuff. I'm totally cool with that. I think it's a cool idea and everything.
100%
Let's
agreed.
also let's also have some lower price stuff that it doesn't
And
have
that's
to
what
be
we're
something super
neglecting.
crazy.
That's what we're
I agree.
neglecting. We've had 3 promos where it's been high price, high price, high price. And, promos, the way I see it, there's 2 objectives that you're trying. There's 2 targets you're trying to hit with a promo. You're trying to either generate income or burn income, whatever they decide to do with it. And you're trying to get your player base excited. Those are the 2 primary objectives of a promotion.
Yeah.
I would add one more, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. I think the promo cards should directly correspond and add to the core set that it's a part of. These are Rebellion promotional cards, and and I want to hear your thoughts on I've been pretty vocal about the Chaos Legion related ability. I think it's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard of. I just don't understand how, number one, it's priced at the price point that it is, and number 2, it loses half of its modern value in 6 months' time when Chaos Legion departs from modern. I think that was a huge failure. But that would be my third point on what a promotional card should accomplish, is supporting the core set, driving people to buy more Rebellion cards to benefit from maximum value from these promo cards.
I think that's a great point. Maybe there's a 0 mana promo card coming. I don't know. I have no idea. That would be cool, I guess, because then it would get some use, I guess, in modern for some time.
The text does specifically say Chaos Legion fans.
Yeah.
Oh, it does say Chaos Legion fans. That's right. Okay, so no, then you're absolutely right. Yeah.
On your point, Jangles, I would think that that concept should apply to borders. So Chaos Legion border, which includes Rift Watchers, all of those cards and any promo cards released with that border should synergize. They should kind of work together. So for Rebellion, of course, anything that they release with the Rebellion border should definitely try to synergize with the core Rebellion set. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the concept of the synergy is awesome. I love where the team is thinking with respect to kind of the foundational idea of this ability. And I forget what it's called. It's got some obscure name, but it's that little purple face on the new legendary card. But I feel like there were so many different opportunities to lean into some of the stuff we've heard in the past. Like, it's a neutral card, which gives it great versatility. It costs 0 mana to put on the team, which is awesome. But if we were able to, imagine that card or that ability was more along the lines of, for every death card that is on the table, you get +1 speed. For every elf on the table on your team, you get +1 armor. For every life card, you get +1 range. You could dive into races, you could dive into other legendary cards. I feel like the opportunity is there to make it so much cooler than and I'm not trying to throw Call Me Tim under the bus, but what Call Me Tim decided, I feel like, was just poor execution, and I feel like it had the potential to be so much cooler than it actually is.
The blasphemy of Ool. I'm looking at it right now.
That's the one. Yes.
I'm not sure. Does that come from the lore? Does anyone who knows the lore know where that comes from specifically? It says permanently gain +1 ranged power for each allied 0-mana card from the Chaos Legion set. Yeah, so definitely specifically Chaos Legion. And who is Uhl? I'm thinking of Zool from Ghostbusters. You must prepare for the coming of Zool, Gozer, the coming of Gozer. He will come in one of the pre-chosen forms. During the reconciliation of the last of the Mulkentric supplicants, he took on the form of a giant slore. Many subs and Zools knew what it was to be roasted in the depths of the slore that day, I can tell you. And I can't believe I remembered that.
I love
Nice, Jimmy.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Classic Rick Moranis right there.
Yeah.
But Uhl. So does anyone know who Uhl is?
No clue.
No idea.
Yeah. Maybe it might be too harsh there. Do you guys feel like it was a missed opportunity? Do you feel like it's a cool mechanic? Where's y'all's heads at?
Yeah,
You want to go first, Jim?
I'm confused by it. Again, if it's going to be synergy like that, it should be not exclusive to Chaos Legion, but maybe Rebellion, or like you said, races, or or a Splinter or something. I don't know. It confuses me as to why that was chosen to be the ability.
I agree. It doesn't make much sense to me, and once again, not an attack on Tim at all. They generally do a great job, but it does not make a ton of sense to have it connected to cards that are going to be at a modern, potentially soon, or sooner rather than later. So I don't know if that's something that could be maybe worked on or corrected or whatever, because it does seem like it's not going to have a ton of effect in modern unless something's done about it. I don't know if that's the right path to go down or not. I don't know. But it may be worth having a conversation at some point, or asking the thought process behind it, if there's something else that we're missing or something. But I think you're right.
We got 5 days till it goes on sale. So
are you guys getting them? What's your guys' plan?
I'm not buying any from the shop. I think I'll wait to see if anything hits the secondary market and think about it. Kind of like you, I have that collector's bug where I kind of really do want, all cards, as much as I can. But it's just getting to a point where that's not possible.
Exactly.
I could accept that. I'm fine with that. Like, I don't have a PJ, Prince Julian. Always wanted one, forgot one. There's some, they're the cheapest I've ever seen on the market right now, but I'm still not dropping $2,400 on one.
Yeah,
at the moment. And having the new promo card just be so expensive it makes me not want to have every card. And it's not like saying, "Oh, I don't want the card." It's more like it's just, I don't know. And it comes from looking at history of how things have gone with all of the promo cards recently and what they're priced at now. It's like
it is expensive.
I think this in particular leaves a little bit of a bad taste, and this is just my gathering of general sentiment that I've seen across Discord and Twitter since we got the or X since we got the Peak D post. I guess last week at this point, the resentment there and the feeling of kind of being fleeced with this deal is we paid for it up front with the DAO, and this is it feels like we're not going to be, if you extrapolate out, we've got, I don't know how many max deck players in modern. This card in particular holds value in modern. The legendary. I struggle to see how the DAO is going to get replenished with cards at this price point with these abilities that kind of leave people scratching their heads. And that's not to say that the backline cleanse I think is really, really valuable. I'm like you, Jimmy, I'm not gonna participate in the promo sale, but I will be looking at the market to see if I could get my hands on that guy. But
smart play.
Yeah, I think we've heard some of the counterpoints to this pricing as maybe it's price point discovery. We expect some adjustments for subsequent promos, but at the same time, like you know, the flip side of the coin is we've had that price discovery with cards like Zuriel. We had that price point discovery with the promo sale like Baron Fiat. And Barrett Fiat ended up selling quite a bit, but that was because the leaderboard and the prizes
They were selling raffle
prizes.
tickets. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were selling raffle tickets.
right. And none of those things are true for this current promo. So it just makes me wonder, you know, for as much as we credit the team for listening, I feel like this is a really important piece where they should be listening, and I'm not quite sure that feedback is getting through. So I would love to see the price points adjusted. Maybe we'll all be surprised and a shit ton of these promo cards end up selling. But I would be very surprised.
Yeah, I think just even just saying, hey, we're doing price point discovery. Here's the price for the legendary, and it is what it is. But then the rare, change the price on that. You know, like at least we put 2 up there at the same time. Then literally you're doing 2 experiments at the same time. How's this price point sell? How's this price point sell?
Yeah.
Well, in a world where DEC is at peg, that legendary is $600.
Yeah, that's
a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Insane.
And the rare is at damn near $350. That's $950 for that. That's a tough pill for me to swallow. Even not at peg, if we're looking at 70% of that, that's still a grip to be paying for 2 cards. And you know, I get your point, Blewitt, with, and I completely agree with, we want to set up scarcity from the get-go for particular cards. And I feel like that auction style is a great way to really lean into that. You know,
it's going to be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, we associate mint numbers. You can get, you know, number 1 of 100, and there's going to be an allure to that for, you know, the collectors that are already here and collectors to come down the track. But I feel like the promo, man, we've for the folks that are still here, we've stuck through it with the company through thick and thin. We're here for the game.
Yes.
I feel like I kind of feel like I would prefer, I would almost be satisfied with a 20-25% price reduction. Maybe more of that price reduction happens on the rare. I'm with you, Jimmy. I feel like the rare should be accessible to everybody, and maybe price the legendary a little bit higher. But I feel like 20-25% is probably what I would like to see these prices adjusted in the future.
I think that's fair. I don't know. Look, I once again, you know, we're all armchair quarterbacking it too, you know, here and thinking how we can figure out what's the best path. I don't know what the best path is. You know, I'm okay with the idea of having some high price cards, but I also think on the flip side there should be some stuff that's more accessible for folks who don't have, you know, hundreds of dollars to throw into a card. I don't know how you balance that properly. But I think that's the trade-off. If you're going to have some high-priced stuff out there for the whales, or the people who can afford it, and you know, and things like that, I think you got to have some stuff for the folks who are just entering the ecosystem or who can't afford to just throw a ton of money into a Web3, you know, card game. Like you know, it is asking a lot of people, and I'm okay with it if there's also a compromise on the other side and everything, or maybe the compromise is you lower it a little bit. I don't know.
I think the only way we can hit the mainstream is having that balance. You know,
yeah,
we're not going to be. You know, there's a lot of people have been saying, you know, recently with all this stuff that they're not buying because they feel like they're getting priced out. You know, and I think it's because the balance isn't there. It's perfectly fine. I need to be totally clear. It's awesome to have high price exclusive things.
I'm actually all for
we should have plenty of that, but we're not seeing the balance of also things that everyone can participate in, and a bronze guy who's just joined in the Philippines who makes $7 a day can participate with, you know. Like there has to be the balance.
I was just gonna say, I don't know how you balance like even if you put like maybe like a, you know, through card inflation and stuff, even if you put like a low level card that you know is just there to, you know, take a beating or doesn't do much or whatever. I don't know what you have, but I don't know how the card inflation comes into play, how does it affect land, you know, like there's probably so much more that goes into it than we're thinking of right now, especially if it's a low price card, because not only can not only can basically anybody can get that. Whales can order a ton, buy a ton, this and that. So there's going to be a gazillion of these things out there probably. So it's like there probably is some balance issues on like how do you really make this happen in our ecosystem and do it so it doesn't destroy anything else or affect anything else in a fair way. And I don't know the answer to that. I hope they can figure it out, because I do think having some sort of lower priced promotions is good for the ecosystem as well. But I am on board for cool limited stuff. Make this thing that Matt's doing with make 100 cards, and it's an auction every day or whatever. I'm gonna watch for a little bit. I'm gonna want it, but I'm gonna watch for a little bit.
Is it 100 cards on a daily auction?
I thought it was. Once again, I could be screwing this up because I'm a complete idiot.
That's some card inflation.
I actually hope I'm screwing this up. I hope I'm giving everybody just the complete bullshit wrong. I think I dreamt this. All right, so here's what happened. So no,
that's why there's no new player experience. They were making 100 cards for 100 cards.
No. I think it's one card, but
every
100 copies, 100 max copies for 100 days.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
and every day it'll go on auction, and people bid it up, and whatever it goes for, it goes for. That's kind of a cool idea.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea.
That's where the price should be, pricing people out. That should be for the most gung-ho collector. That should be for the whales. That should, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I feel like the promotion.
I think it's great. Yeah, it's an excellent.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
I'd also love to see one of ones in a pack, like a special like diamond foil that there is.
Sure.
There's one in every edition. You're going to sell more packs because people are going to be chasing them down, especially at the beginning.
Until it sells, until somebody flips it.
Until someone flips it. Yeah, exactly.
And you're right. That's probably not that hard to implement. It's a different art border around the card or whatever, that kind of thing. And maybe it gives some sort of bonus, extra bonus. They already have that all written in play. You just got to attach it to that. That's a cool idea. Platinum edition or diamond edition, one of every card, in every set. If you're lucky enough to pull that, I think it's a cool idea. That's the thing. Like, this is all an experiment, and I love the ideas that come from the community. It's why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And
low hanging fruit, and it's stuff that's been around for a while, man. If you look at a lot of these blockchain card things and NFTs and collectibles from the past like wave, where a lot of these projects disappeared. Some of them disappeared when I watched them double their prices. They were doing great. And they like, let's double our price. Then they had sales and they went away. But there were also a lot of great things where they were dealing with different rarities and different, there were one of ones in these packs, and people would buy those packs, chasing down those ones of ones. There's a lot of low hanging fruit that we could do with this.
That would make the hardy stonefish desirable, right? Like if the collectors out there, they don't care that it's a hardy stonefish. They care that it's the one of one, right?
You pulled that one of one. It's a huge thing. It's like kind of like getting like the game used jersey card and the baseball card packs or the the autographed or whatever. Super cool.
And it brings that jackpot element back that people have said was now missing. That huge jackpot element that you can get. Same with the reward cards. I guess they're soulbound now, so you really can't. But maybe you can get it. You just have to, it's soulbound, and you get that bonus forever.
Maybe, I mean, look, I'm sorry, Jingles. Go ahead.
I just want to drop in real quickly before we veer too far off of and I feel like we already have, but I want to circle back to the promo, the promo conversation. I wonder if do you guys think there's any weight to the thought that it already is accessible to everybody? So for example, the voucher card and the rare, I don't remember the legendary, but they both get the key new ability at 1 BCX. And I disagree with that fundamentally. I feel like those abilities should unlock at a higher level of BCX. But do you feel like that is the accessibility piece? Is there an argument to be made there?
I guess I'll chime in right now. I don't know. I think I do know that I've seen I seen Vugtis bring it up in Discord chat about how like the max level stat jumps aren't they're not special enough. They're not making that special enough. So I don't know how to balance a card. I'm an idiot when it comes to this stuff. I don't envy the guys that are working on this and doing it. It's got to be hard to look at all the other cards out there and figure it out and figure out at what levels these things jump and everything, especially when you're introducing new abilities. So I give them a lot of credit for figuring it, for trying their best and everything. But I don't know what the better path is, whether to have that main new ability right away, and just have someone go, hey, you just buy one BCX of this thing and you have it, or if you should be working towards it and striving towards the goal of unlocking or maxing out that card or whatever. I don't know what the right path is. I could see pros and cons for probably both.
I'm suspecting it was
What about you guys?
unintentional. I'm suspecting it was unintentional. Otherwise, it would have been already put forward that was the accessibility and the intent. That's just my guess.
I feel like putting let's use the mana ward, the voucher card as an example. He gets the new shield. I forget what it's called, but the shield granting
ward or something.
Shield ward, yeah, something like that. The little blue icon. That becomes available at 1 BCX, and at max level, I think the card gets piercing or something like that. I think there's room for compromise there, where at 1 BCX maybe he has, we want these cards to sell. We want a reasonable argument and compelling story for you to spend your vouchers on.
Yeah, for you to want to go
just
buy
a
this
single
thing, yeah.
BCX. Yeah, but giving away the cow on 1 BCX, I feel like is a little bit too much, and I think the other side of that, waiting until max level, is also the incorrect approach. You don't want to make it exclusive to max cards, even though we've gotten rid of leagues, which is a completely different conversation. But maybe silver.
Well, sort of.
There's
still league tournaments.
Sure.
I mean, you
maybe
want that in silver.
Yeah, maybe the sweet spot is silver, and then the card gets progressively more valuable as you climb up. I feel like getting that card in particular, it doesn't have reach, it doesn't have opportunity, it doesn't have sneak, so he's purely in the support card capacity until he moves to the front line. So more often than not, I think most folks are going to play him in the second position, something like a Bakjira or an Oceanus up front, that already has void, it's elusive, it's sustainable. But getting something like a reach ability at gold or at diamond, that would be, something huge. That would be a really, really compelling reason huge. Why you want to max this card out. Right. I don't think the current formula is spot on.
Right.
I would like to see some adjustments to the design. I've heard that, I also saw Vugtis's comments around, I think he referred to it as the power curve not being quite right. And my main thing for maxing a lot of my rebellion cards was because of conflicts. I wanted the additional BCX to count towards getting airdrop summoners.
Airdrops, yeah.
Exactly. Which is not a good enough reason. Once we get past conflicts, who's going to max out these cards for 1 HP when you've got to pretty much double the cost that you've sunk into these cards? Probably not a lot of people. So
sure.
Yeah.
No, you need that ability at that last thing. Like I remember specifically Serpentine Spy from Untamed. He badass card, and then
it's a great card.
Level 10 he gets poison. It's like a lot of the Untamed cards hit it right on, where that maxed card gets a killer ability.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, like it's worth it.
Totally.
Yeah. Question about the Cleanse Rearguard. This is one of the new abilities on the dual, one of the Sanctus Vicar.
On one of the new promos that are coming.
Yeah, the rare fire and water guy. I do like seeing these new dual element combinations. Kind of cool. Cleanse Rearguard cleanses the last allied backline unit with a magic debuff. So does that mean like they have to have silence in order to get cleansed? Like the unit has to have a magic, like what's the magic debuff thing?
I don't know if that's. I mean, does affliction constitute a magic debuff?
I don't know. Cleanses the last allied backline unit with a magic debuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Means.
I mean, this goes back to something we were talking about earlier. I would love to see these promo cards available in ghost card challenges. Like we've talked about the lack of testing around a lot of this stuff. Some of these summoners have been hailed as they're too OP, or Grim Bardoon, I think, would have been designed a little bit differently had we had extensive testing.
Some testing.
And I just don't think the testing is present, and the data is not available to really determine, are we designing cards in the right way, or should we be incorporating more of a feedback loop? And man, making these cards available in the ghost card challenges, and shout out to VetV again, the kitchen table game mode for all. If we could dictate what rule sets look like, when would we use these particular cards, unlocking new meta, whatever that looks like, without consequence of potentially losing SPS or losing rating, man, I feel like the data would just come in spades. So that's something I would really love to see, is testing through ghost card challenges, testing through ghost card tournaments, the latest and greatest stuff. Like we want as many games played as possible to really drive that data, and it benefits the team, right? And can help, operate as a little bit of a sandbox environment and ramp up the data collection for guys like Call Me Tim to make these better decisions of, when do I make these abilities available, at what key, level should we unlock, this particular mechanic for countering this meta, whatever that looks like. That's something I would really, really love to see, and I think it's totally doable.
It benefits the team and excites the community. It's a win-win.
Excites the community, yeah. Last set, I
win-win.
love the fact that Mavs got play testing a couple weeks beforehand, and we're kind of screwing around. That first night when it went live, I was so excited to just kind of go and screw around with cards and everything and see how new cards worked, and I like that idea. I think these are things that are not that hard to implement. You know what I mean? It probably takes time and effort and coordination, and it's tough. They're running thin. So I get it. I think right now, and once again, this is just me looking through my dumb eyes and seeing it. I think the team right now is still just focused on trying to make good on promises past. Like they're still working on those things from a couple years ago that are looming over their heads. I'm so looking forward to checking off a few of those boxes, because then I feel like we can tackle some of these other things that have been going on for that we've been bringing up and going, why don't they just do this, or this is so easy to do, it seems. And I feel like when they can check off a couple of these other big things, like these big projects that have been looming and everything, and I think fulfilling promises past will go a long way in showing the community that they mean business. And I'm excited to see what's next, after we kind of tackle a few of these looming storm clouds that have been following us for a little while.
Gator said that exact thing, that they're still trying to clear out the tech debt that they have accrued. So that's the, but at the same time, like in the last update, they updated the button on the splash page, like the start button or enter now or whatever it is, and it's like,
we
have to spend time on that. It looked, I hate to say, I thought it looked better before. I don't like
sure.
But even if it was a little better, this one, why did we spend time on that when we're so stretched thin in other areas?
Sure.
So I think that's the focus thing, like being.
Well, how many meetings were tied into that play now button, and how much dev time was
right.
Like how many times did they go back to the drawing board on, I don't like that shade of orange, or we should have some shading over here, or that font sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, and that's where it comes down to, what do you need to focus on? What do you need to do? What is good enough and looks good enough? Because I think the website's been looking great. All these little updates have been fantastic. So there's a point where it's like, that's good enough. Let's knock down the next important thing. Let's really tackle new player experience, or
what do you guys feel is one of the most important? You guys have been asking me some questions. Let me get your guys' opinions. What do you feel are some of the most important things for you right now in this ecosystem, like for the team to handle and everything, or for to happen in order to get us to that next level of recognition and kind of respect, you know?
More explosions on every page. No, I'm
You
kidding,
knew
of
the
course.
answer before you
Yeah.
asked. Blewitt.
Every time you hit a button, there's an explosion in the think South Park. Explosions
That's
everywhere.
it.
No, I'm kidding, of course. I personally, I'd say new player experience is. I was psyched when I heard them say a year
Yeah.
ago that was going to be the focus, and I really hope we get it in time. But I think that is the most important thing
I
is
agree.
the new player
100%.
experience, making it, and that doesn't include that includes a tutorial, but it also includes just making things flow and making things
Seamless,
easy.
yeah.
I think there's still a lot of UI challenges on the website. Like it was easy to figure out, but I went looking for the new voucher card, and I go to the rewards page and I'm looking for vouchers on the top, and
Not there.
oh, maybe it's the exclusive button. Let me hit that, and then that's the voucher shop. So
Yeah.
there are challenges to smooth out.
Sure.
But yeah, new player experience would be my hands down #1 vote.
I think it's
What
got
about
to
you,
be.
Daniel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think for anybody who's at this point, that's all we're waiting for is new players. That's going to shift that's going to be the most meaningful change across the board, and it's going to affect everything from DEC moving back closer to PEG to SPS starting to rise and folks starting to burn. Aftersound calls it the life spiral, and then the card market getting that soaked up and pulled off, reward
Yeah.
cards burned for more DEC. It's that is the catalyst to all good
Yeah,
things
new
that
players
are going to
solves
come in
a
the
lot
future.
of problems.
Yeah, and it's not that much. I remember seeing some math on it. I think it was 5,000 or 10,000
Yeah.
changes everything.
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 And
And
the thing is, like, this is an obtainable goal. This is
Easy.
absolutely doable. It's been done already. It was done
Yeah.
before. Like, at a point when we weren't ready for it in any capacity and everything. What happens when we are ready or more ready than we've ever been, and more prepared? I think it's absolutely doable. I think some things have to go right for it, but I think we have to get some of that experience right. It's probably not going to be perfect right off the bat. I'm sure they're going to tweak things, and figure out what works and what doesn't and add to it. But it's gotta flow. It's gotta be able. I'm done onboarding people the way I have for the last few years. I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours with people, bringing people on, and it's a lot. It's a lot. They need to simplify it and have a great tutorial, and I hope they make it fun. I hope some of Nate's vision really makes it into there. Because I think that would be great to kind of immerse you. Like he said, you're the battle mage. You get to design your. I like that stuff. You were saying you get to design how they look. Their dwelling, all that stuff. And once again, that's all shit that you can also. You can sell stupid cosmetics and other things to there's so much that can be tied into this new player experience too that can help generate them funds going forward and put them maybe on some more stable footing and everything going forward.
And you could roll it out in stages too.
Yeah, exactly.
Get a tutorial that works and then build on it.
Build on that. Yep.
And I also will add, to the original question, what do you think is the most important thing? So including the new player experience, having an environment that really facilitates and nurtures and encourages low-level players.
Mm-hmm.
Bronze and silver really need to be fun, engaging, and people have to enjoy being there and playing in that situation. And that doesn't exist right now. Part of it is the league removal in conjunction with the lack of liquidity bots. But I honestly think the leaderboard situation, having bronze players playing for lead, they don't have to get DEC. Again, this is where cosmetics or something could come in, but something that really engages a new player to say, this is awesome. I'm loving playing in bronze,
Said no one ever.
I think it would be great to have people of all different levels kind of engaged and everything, because not everyone can have a max deck, and I know that's the idea is that you should always strive to max your cards. And I think it's
not realistic. It's not realistic.
It's not realistic.
To ask that for everybody.
It's not realistic.
And if we want 1 million players, you're going to need a buttload of them hanging out in bronze and then a buttload in silver. I mean, I remember
80% should be silver bronze.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
there was up, man. And there were people. I read Tavern regularly. There used to be a lot of bronze players back when we had leaderboards for it. There were bronze and silver people who hung there, and it almost got bastardized as like it's this terrible thing to stay in bronze or silver. But again, I think that's more where people are economically comfortable to hang.
Some people can only swing that, and that's okay. I don't want to
expect everyone to drop 10 grand and move up. Or
once
just
again,
want rent to move up. Some of them want to own their cards and hang out in bronze, own their cards and build their silver deck, through ownership.
I think we need to figure out winning strategies that cater to all these different types of people. And we need to understand that all these different types of people are all important pieces of this puzzle for success. I think having your whales is just as important as having your plankton that are, and everything and everywhere in between. I think we can be a game that caters to everyone. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you balance that out. I don't know, there's smarter people than I, hopefully working on this, within the company.
I think it's already there, man. Like,
yeah,
it's Matt's original concept of having the cards the way they are and having you combine them to level them up.
It's awesome.
It's brilliant, and have the different abilities unlocked at different leagues. The original structure is absolutely genius. It is already, we have the winning combo there. We just have to utilize it.
And it's so unique.
And it's unique.
Where else can you
and it lends towards scarcity. Every edition that comes out, you're always going to get new players who are wanting to level up out of the pool of bronze and silver. They're going to buy cards from the last set. When the next set comes out, the new guys are going to buy Rebellion cards and say, I'm maxing this. I'm scooping up all 400 commons off the market.
I'm clearing it off the map.
Yeah, it's built in. It's already there. It's
great design.
We just have to capitalize on it and really make it attractive at every single level. And I think the top is the easiest, and it's almost like by default already kind of there, and we just really have to focus on the lower levels being fun and attractive.
I agree. I think it's fantastic. I think we can be a game that caters to everyone.
Absolutely.
I think with some tweaks and changes, and obviously things need to change, but I hope that we figure it out. I hope that we can figure out how to properly do that and have it not be detrimental to the ecosystem and to feel like everyone is included in some way. In some capacity, and that they matter. Kind of almost like how, the original goal of land is like, even, the guy with, 2 plots can be a grain guy, or eventually when all these resources are going, or he can, refine Sparkstone, or he can, like, everyone can kind of have their niche and their place, and
making enough grain to pick up a card every couple days.
Like it's
for a couple
awesome
days.
idea. I like
and that card makes an impact, right? That's the bigger piece
on their game.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that everyone had in land they always said everyone can have their place and their niche and figure and carve their own path and do almost have like a little small business almost that you're doing within the ecosystem. I wish that in the game that more players felt like that they had their place, and I don't feel like everyone feels like that right now, and I don't know the full answer on how to make that happen. And like you said, we have all the pieces in place. We just gotta get a few more.
We don't have the liquidity bots that we need.
You're right.
We're having but the thing is, we're close. It's all there. We're not really missing anything. We just got to figure out how to put the puzzle together.
Sure.
We're really close. That keeps me encouraged too. It's like it's all there. We just got to assemble it correctly at this point.
It's exciting when you actually take a step back and watch it all kind of unfold and go, I see what's happening here, and I can see it kind of forming, and it's exciting. I know I get excited about it. I love talking and seeing other people's passions, especially about this ecosystem. I think there's so much cool shit happening here. I think we kind of, sometimes when things are down and markets are down and spirits are down, we kind of forget that, and it's not perfect and it's got a long way to go. But I think about like this is a video game that we own pieces of and kind of have some say in how it kind of all goes, and everyone's accessible, and it's just kind of a nutty experience. I feel like I feel like we're almost there. I like what you said, Jimmy, that you can see it all there. And it gets me excited. I think we're really close on a lot of things. You know, and I'm excited for the future, you know.
Well, I think there's the, despite all the criticism and I don't want to call it salt. I don't feel like the community is super salty. I feel like there's a lot of very constructive criticism coming from the right place.
Absolutely.
I think at this point,
I think the last
salt
like
has been shaken
6
out.
months or so. Yeah, I think like if you said earlier in the year, it was a much more toxic environment and everything. It's actually really it's pretty good right now. I mean, every now and then you get people coming in and just kind of stirring the pot a bit, but for the most part, I'm really happy with the last several months on how people have kind of converse back and forth on stuff. I feel like that's progress. That's one of those things. The constructive criticism, and they're being for the most part respectful for the most part, and that's the way towards success. I feel in a space where we all kind of have a voice. I think understanding where the other person's coming from is paramount, and we need to do more of that. And I think there has been some more listening for a change instead of someone just putting their fingers in their ears and shouting the same thing over and over. I think that was that way a while ago. And
I think
it's gotten a lot better.
intentional people who were like just wanted to see it all burn down because
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Some men just want to watch the world burn, as Alfred said to Batman. I think that was the case, and I think most of those folks are gone for the most part. But that made me hang out on Discord a lot less. That's what made me kind of start posting on X more. I was like, I don't want to deal with every day coming here and it's just salt. So it's so much better. The community is awesome. I love our community. I think it can be our strongest asset. And I think that we need to use ourselves more efficiently and everything. I love our community. I think it's going strong, for how many years now? Has this game been around for? So six plus, like that's impressive. That's really awesome.
That's forever in the crypto space. That's
think of how many shitty projects have kind of come and gone, throughout the years that you hear projects that are super hyped, the next big thing.
Oh yeah. Let me pull up my Wax wallet. I could probably name like 10 of them right there.
Like we're 6 years in and still developing. Like this is awesome. Like once again, it's not perfect, and I think everyone who brings up problems, for the most part, if it's done in a respectful manner, I think that's great. I think they have valid points and everything. But ultimately, like I look at this and I'm like, this is super impressive. Like this really blows my mind that we're part of this. Here's a cool example. I never sold anything from this ecosystem at all. I never sold any of my. I took some of my Hive and I put that towards my tracks initially, but I never took anything out of the Hive ecosystem. I've only put in until February of this year. I bought. My family and I, we went to Disney World and we went to Florida, Orlando, where we met with Nate and had dinner and him and his family. It was such an awesome time, great class act. But we went to Disney, we went to Universal, and I bought all of our tickets with earnings from SPS. I took a little SP for the first time ever. I took a little bit of SP out, took a few grand out, and I sent it to my crypto.com account and I put it on my card and I bought friggin' Disney tickets with my video game earnings, and that blows my goddamn mind. Like that's so cool. I've seen people post that they bought a car, back a couple of years ago during the bull runs or during better, more prosperous times. Someone bought a bed. Like that's so cool to me. Like that blows my mind. And I think we're still so early. I think the potential here is big, and we just need some things to go our way. And I think it'll happen.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. And that is a part of it. That was part of the original purpose of this, was to, help facilitate things like that, help make life easier and stuff, give opportunity, as opposed to being labeled an extractor. You cashed out?
No, I'm an extractor. Bulldog an extractor. Bulldog.
Blewitt the Extractor. Your new nickname.
Blewitt the Extractor.
Get you a title.
We should make that title.
We should make that title, the Extractor.
When you take out an embarrassing amount, you just get the extract, and it deducts some points off your thing. The Extractor. So
it's soul bound and permanent. You can't burn it. It's on your
That
account.
that is a funny aspect about this community. You know, one of the selling points is like you can sell whenever you want, whenever you kind of go, as long as there's a buyer for it. You know, you break your leg and you're out of work and you need to sell some stuff, you can sell your, you know, your cards. You get out of the game, you're sick and tired of it, whatever. You see some great games you want to take advantage of, you do it. That's a great that's a pro,
It's
not
a
you know.
feature. It's a
Yeah, it's a
feature, not a
feature. It's
bug.
not a
Yeah.
not a, and
Well,
and I see people kind of you know poo-pooing on that idea, and I think that that's a shame. I think we should kind of be totally in support of you know anybody who wants to do whatever they want with their assets, as long as it's not detrimental to the game and you're not you know exploiting something or something. Like I think it's a great
yeah.
feature. That's
And
awesome.
there were a lot of people, you know, working with scholars and stuff. And you know, there were
Yeah,
a lot of
I
the
got scholars.
yeah, and the
I got
players in the
yeah.
Philippines. I remember during the last run, a lot of them were they would peel some off to you know improve their lives and do some
Yeah,
really cool things with some SPS, yeah, Splinterlands earnings. But at the same time, they're reinvesting and building their own accounts.
sure,
You know,
absolutely.
there's a balance to be found with all of that stuff. You know, peel some off, put some back in, and as long as we have a continuing expanding new player base,
Player base. Yeah.
it's a workable model.
To kind of expand and reinforce your call out there, Blewitt. That's really why most of us are here, right? Like, it's just what's your price, right? I
Yeah.
think we'd all be hard
Yeah,
pressed to
like
say I'm never gonna sell my SPS. That's why we got whales. There's no other reason
sure.
why Vuctus it has 40 million. It's not to stamp out DAO
Yeah, that's why
proposals.
crypto eaters, you know, banking 48 million SPS or whatever he's
Yeah,
doing.
I mean
You maniac, you.
yeah,
I
it's
love it.
the long-term play and it's the long-term conviction that this game is going to change. It's maybe it sounds cheesy, but it has the potential to change the world. Like there's a lot of very cool implications that could come about through what
Absolutely.
Splinterlands has been built upon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. And once again, I still think we're still so early.
Yep.
Like in all of this space with Bitcoin, with Web3, with crypto, you know, gaming, whatever you want to lump this, you know, our weird ecosystem, whatever you want to label it as, I think we're still ultimately so early. And I think that probably has to do with a lot of things. I think probably some of it is, you know, crypto laws are still very, you know, in the gray area, and no one, you know, if you want to try to operate legally in this space, there's still so many questions on how one would do so. And the US has not been terribly friendly so far towards it. So I think probably a lot of big, you know, brand names and big companies and all that kind of stuff are probably just kind of watching the space grow a little bit and probably mature. And I think at a certain point, you're going to see some of those bigger, you know, those bigger names, you know, take a chance and make a splash and start dipping their toes in the water when it's. I'm not saying it's the only thing. That's something that comes to my mind that I see as like, yeah, it's probably, you know, if Nike wants to get more involved or Coca-Cola wants to get more involved in this space, legally, there's probably still just a lot of question marks around how they go about doing that, you know. But I think the space is going to grow, and I think partnerships I think this project is so set up perfectly for cool partnerships. You know, like I think we discussed. I don't know if we discussed it off air or earlier in the show.
Spawn,
Uh, uh,
spawn,
there's
spawn.
so much, yeah, Spawn. You know, like we were so close, and I feel really good about it. I feel bad that it didn't happen. You know, I worked my butt off. I know, you know, Nate worked his butt off and his team, you know, trying to design some of that stuff. But we came really close. And I think that, you know, coming close with the, you know, one of the biggest creators out there, with one of the biggest indie characters out there who would fit in perfectly to this game, mind you, perfectly. Uh, we came really close on the first attempt at a point when we had kind of no business being, you know, having those conversations, I feel, you know, and, uh, I think when you know when we're ready, there's a lot of cool ideas that I think are absolutely gettable in the comic world. I have a lot of, you know a lot of people in the industry and everything. I feel like there's a good chance that we'll make some cool stuff happen in that department. I know I'm going to work my ass off when that new player experience is launched. I'm going to really try and and work to get some really cool crossovers there. And I think all you need to do is do it once, you know, to show, you know, if we can get a big name crossover in the comic world to show, I think other creators are going to go, yeah, that sounds cool. Oh, I get money and my character gets to be in the game, and you know, we sell some cool variants alongside it and all this other cool stuff. Like, yeah, sign me up. I think we just need to land it once, and then we can expand upon it there, and then the sky's the limit. So that's that.
That's amazing. Like the fact that you're working with Funko and Marvel and you have like exclusive, things
Yeah.
in your shop. The fact that you already have those connections and they're just right there waiting to happen,
I
it's like,
think there's some cool stuff that can totally happen. There's so many cool characters, and like I said, I'm just familiar with the comic world, but I don't think it's limited to there. I think, once again, this is dreaming big. This is getting, this is getting Aggie eyes. I'm getting Aggie eyes right now, and I'm looking at other stuff. But like, why stop there? There's like, what about cool like horror characters? And when the new, Saw movie comes out, why not get a jigsaw puppet card into the game, like
oh
this is,
yeah.
once again, you're thinking it sounds so far-fetched, but it's really not. Once you do it once and get a kind of a proof of concept on how that would work and see how that would generate interest, and if it brings a new fan base into the ecosystem, and how it can work, I think you can tackle all sorts of cool stuff. You can like, and then that opens up the doorways to how do you get comic shops and gaming shops involved in a game like this. I think you give them some sort of reason to, and maybe they design their own card and their own character, and they, maybe there's a tournament system set up for shops exclusively. I don't know, but there's so much that can happen. I feel, that I'm friggin' bullish as hell, guys. I'm
Well,
bullish as hell.
the piece that sticks out to me is Todd McFarlane being the indie comic, right? The fact that it's the indie off the beaten path. That's how it started. The idea, I never got involved with Rising Star, but the concept of
Okay.
supporting these indie musicians and folks that we're looking for a different platform to support their music and other musicians' music. Like that concept is so rad to me. And if we could find like some cool graphic novel artist or something like that to, put forth that idea of creating the crossover between the physical and the digital, yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
it's just right for the picking, man. Super cool
I would
concept.
love a comic. I would love a comic one day. And once again, this is down the road and everything more, but I think Splinterlands, the IP, and all the different character development going on there, and the lore, and and the locations, and there's so much going on that I think it's right for that medium, for comics and stuff, and the potential to do some really cool shit to cross over those worlds exists. I mean, I think I know a couple years, not a couple years ago, but some years ago, Dark Horse Comics was putting out a Magic the Gathering comic, and they had the license for that, and it came kind of shrink wrapped with a promo card inside, that you can use, in battle. And once again, I don't know how powerful or good or whatever those cards were, but I thought that was a great idea. Oh, you're getting comic people and the card game people, which sometimes cross over, but they're their own separate audiences. Now you're getting comic people to maybe look at this card game, and you're getting card game people going, oh, I want that card, so I'm going to go buy that comic. So it's a good crossover, good synergy there, and I think that we could do something like that too eventually. You put a promo card in, maybe you do a special edition. If we ever did a comic, you do a special edition, you put a promo card in there comes with a free spell book thing or something like that, or a promo card for something that you could redeem in the game. Like there is potential there, and I know my eyes get big when I think about this, but I spent my life in this world, and the property is just perfect for it. This whole project is right for that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, just all of
Yeah.
like the potential for the crossover is, and that's how you go mainstream, man. You want 1 million people? Easy with crossovers
Yeah.
like that,
I
multiple crossovers. Bam,
I
and
look
as we no, go.
No, I was gonna say, I think another idea. Sorry, I'm just rattling this shit off, but I think a couple reseller, I think, has brought this up too. We've had discussions about this, him and I, having a presence at Comic Cons, at San Diego Comic
Yeah.
Con, at New York Comic Con, but having a booth there where, with a couple tablets or big screens, that you could do demos, you could sign people up, have some free dumb swag giveaway. And once again, this is something that it's going to be an expense to set up at a con. It's not cheap. I went to San Diego for 15 straight years, from 2003 to 2018. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of money to set up at these shows. So it wouldn't be cheap, but maybe that's something that one day the DAO, when we're in a better position, maybe the DAO can fund I would be happy to work work the booth at Comic-Con along with, a couple other people and do that kind of stuff. I have experience doing that. Like if the DAO funded something like that when we were in a little bit of a better position and our onboarding was better, we had some cool people love free shit at San Diego Comic-Con. They love free shit. So you have some cool free stuff to give away, and people will lose their minds.
Physical
Yeah.
cards like that.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, look at all these.
Whoa! I didn't open I still have my unopened pack.
These are actually from a giveaway or a promotion I did back in, what year was this? 2019. I was set up at the New York Comic Con, and I asked Matt. I was like, "Hey man, I got a booth there. I'd love to promote the game. What can I do?" So they gave me a bunch of promo cards to give out. Once again, no, no, I can't like sell the game there. I'm busy working, so it was just something that I put in. The Comic Con does this thing of it'll list all the booths that have exclusives that you can go to, like exclusive comics or exclusive toys or pops or whatever. So I had this listed there. So I did have people come up and ask for it, probably just because it was free and people love, that word just sets something off in people. So, but I think if it was done right and we set up at one of these shows and had a model up front, attracting people in. You have a couple of, we call them booth babes, at the thing. You have someone like that. You have a couple monitors there. You have a couple tablets and people signing people up. Have a reason for them to come on there and get a free T-shirt or a free mug or something. I think that's a great way, and that's your target, or it's one of your target audiences. It's people who like gaming and fantasy shit and escapism and all this types of stuff, and I think it's right up their alley.
A booth babe dressed as the wood nymph, or
Yeah, like why not?
the
every
river
booth has
nymph, all
booth
those
babes.
little scantily clad female. Like, that's very comic
Yeah,
book.
it is very Comic-Con-y,
Yeah.
it's very
How
Comic-Con.
much would something like that cost? How much is a booth at one of those places?
I haven't exhibited since 2018. The last I was last year. Oh no, yeah, 2019. I'm sorry, was last year I exhibited. To do New York, I usually do New York every year, which is comparable to San Diego in terms of like the size of the show. San Diego's better. It's a much cooler city. There's a lot more going on. It's a better show, but New York's a good number two in the country. It's several $1,000s for a booth. Especially if you're doing something like New York or whatever, there's other costs involved. There's your parking, there's your, all the
Hotel
other dumb
rooms,
things, hotel
travel,
rooms, travel, like
getting
your
everything
food.
there.
There's a lot of other things that go into it that a lot of people don't think about. But and then if you're going to spend a few grand on getting some good promotional stuff to give away, but I think it could be done. I mean, I don't know, maybe 10 grand, maybe it's not that. I mean, we have a
That's
nice
not
little
that much for advertising. When you think of an advertising budget, that's not
it's not that
amount of money. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would work it for free. I bet you could get people from the community to work it all for free. To work the event for free. I bet you. I would volunteer myself to do that. I would totally run the booth and put.
Oh, if it was in my area, I would do the same thing. Do it in San Francisco. I'll be there.
As long as my expenses are paid or whatever, I don't need. I will totally go work it, and I'm sure we can get a couple other people. I think it's a great idea at some point. I just don't think we're ready for it yet. But I hope the DAO thinks about these things going forward and how we can start thinking outside the box a little bit, to whether it's to promote the game or to start generating revenue, or to make smart investments and make our money go further and grow. I think these are important things, but that's something that I think maybe the DAO could fund, and maybe one day when the new product experience is done, I can talk to, we can talk and get some people involved and figure out a proper proposal to put forth. I think that's something that would be really cool.
At the end of the, I mean, 10 grand, that feels really reasonable, because at the end of the day, the name of the game is exposure. We know that this is a cool game. It's a cool ecosystem. We've got like you said, our biggest asset is our community. We've got a badass community. We've got a lot of folks that are, even if the new player experience isn't a 10 out of 10, if we can get that the majority of the way there, we've got a community that's more than willing to help out, kind of push things across the line for folks. And whether it's delegating cards or creating video tutorials or, you name it. There's always folks willing to lend a hand. If we can, I agree. I would love to see that proposal come forth. I would 100% support it.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
starting to think about that stuff is critical. We should start mulling over the idea of a New York con or whatever.
We're just waiting for that place where we're comfortable to say, come check us out.
Correct.
And
where they can just scan a QR code and get there themselves, and they don't have to text you or I.
You scan a code. You scan a
Exactly.
code. All of a sudden, there's an explosion on your phone.
Yeah, of course,
and you zoom right into. You sucked into the.
That goes without saying, Jimmy. Come on now. Oh, speaking of explosions, let's get the figurative explosion here. A little bird told us that you had a cheesesteak. Is that the food of choice over in Jersey for lunch? You just had a meal with one Sir Yaba. Was granted some cool new alpha to drop on the episode.
It was actually sushi that I did not have. I had hibachi. I had some hibachi. But yeah, no. Matt's been super generous with. I told him I was coming on here and asked him if there was anything cool I could share for the first time. And I wish it could have been one of these promo cards, but it was just a couple of days off. They released it a couple of days beforehand, but he was kind enough to give me some info, so I have a little bit of alpha to drop. It's a new ability, which I know we've been seeing a lot more of lately. So new ability. I guess in future sets they're going to be experimenting with abilities that combo together on separate cards. For example, the mount ability and the mountable ability. So basically, if these cards with these abilities are paired next to each other, they both gain a brand new ability, or something new. So that is something that's going to be coming in the near future. I don't know how near. I guess we'll give the old soon. We don't know exact dates, but soon is probably something that'll be coming our way. But the mount ability and the mountable ability. So if these cards with both of those abilities are paired next to each other, they both gain a new ability. So something kind of cool. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I love. I mean, we were kind of talking about something similar at the start of the episode about the synergies. I love the idea of, you getting additional benefit for playing one or two or a series of cards that not just play nicely together, but actively complement one another. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what happens when you put X and Y together. What is the output? But yeah, the concept is awesome. It was very cool.
It does sound cool. Yeah, I like the new things like that. Like I really like the negative abilities that we see on the new promo cards. Where it's just like, oh, you get this really powerful card, but it damages your own team.
Just beats up your guy.
Yeah,
a little bit more. I think having different abilities is a lot of fun. I think the sky's the limit as they go along. There's so many cool ideas, and I think I don't know if it was on your guys' show I was listening, but just even like basic ideas. Was it you, Jingles, that was saying on one of the shows where even basic ideas like your cards all revert back to like bronze. If you're in like diamond and champ or like this rule set is bronze level rule set or something like that. Or,
yeah.
Or was that you? Okay, yeah. Once again, super simple ideas that are kind of cool and throw a wrench into things a little bit, especially for people who haven't played in those leagues, very often or haven't for quite some time. They could add some cool, unique competition. So,
yeah, I would love to see that sort of stuff come into play at Champ. Maybe now that we don't have leagues, I guess it would be relevant across any gameplay. But yeah, I think bronze. And that's one of the things I loved about the league system was the meta is so different at each respective league. So not only are these abilities changing and growing and getting more powerful, but the meta is very, very different. I can't tell you how many times I've played in my silver account the Demon Shark expecting a retaliate, and then I realize, oh shit, that doesn't come till later.
That doesn't. I'm not.
I do that all the time in brawls,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of fun. So that's the new ability. We'll see when it comes. And thank you to Yaba for giving me something to share, which is kind of cool. So much
Yeah,
appreciated.
shout out to Yaba. Fun fact: what sushi and hibachi did you guys get?
Oh, what the hell? Where the hell did we go? I think it's called Wasabi. It's in Ortley Beach, New Jersey. We've gone there a couple times, and he likes it. And his kid was digging some sushi that night. So that's where we went and everything. I got some chicken and steak hibachi. I think Matt got some shrimp. And his kid got some cool sushi. So
Cool.
I don't really do seafood, so.
And something I do whenever I go out now is I ask the server, do you accept DEC and SPS?
How about HBD, hide back dollars? Anybody into that? No.
Anyone?
I would love to accept that stuff. Love to get that going one day.
We're getting there. We're getting
there. I did have something to bring up, and I just want to shoehorn this in because I don't want to forget. This is totally off topic and everything. I just figured let me do this before I forget. I do have something kind of a little exciting. One of the cool parts about Splinterlands I love is how accessible it is. I have a lot of ideas in my dumb. We all do. We all have a lot of ideas and everything. I think Splinterlands, the team, and are really open to making cool things happen, especially if they don't have to do too much work with it. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll give you a perfect example, not to go back to Spawn, but initially when that idea popped in my head and I figured, hey, I can make this happen maybe. I went to Matt and he was like, yeah, if you can make something cool happen, we're gonna, and it's not super, invasive, we'll do it. And Nate kind of has the same mindset and everything. So there is something cool that I did bring up to Matt, and he was totally on board with it and everything. And once again, it's minor, but it's something that I think is super cool. One of our buddies has an apparel line. He designs his own clothes and all sorts of stuff and everything, and he sells it online. And he's got a small little following, but he's been doing it for years and growing his business. And he's looking for something cool to kind of take him to the next step and everything, and learn the business a little bit more. And in my head, I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. We don't have good, authentic Splinterlands merchandise. We have, the shit that you can get on, like, Redbubble or, T-Fury, or, which is basically, and I have it. I have a cool Yoden Zaku t-shirt, but it's just the card image on a t-shirt. It's nothing super unique or anything. And I floated the idea to him. I said, how would you feel if we could work out a deal and you can kind of be like almost like the authentic apparel of Splinterlands, and put out and design some cool merchandise and t-shirts and hats and whatever else nonsense you sell. And he loved the idea, and I went to Matt with it, and he was like, yeah, as long as we don't have to really do anything. So I think we're going to start doing some cool kind of authentic Splinterlands merchandise that people will be able to kind of rock and represent. And I'm excited to announce that the company is called Mass Paranoia. And the guy that works for me. It's one of his best friends that's who runs this. And we met about 2 weeks ago. We kind of talked through it, and I thought that there were some really cool opportunities for Splinterlands to kind of have some cool official merch and people to represent. I know I'll buy a bunch of shirts and stuff to represent it. And this guy to kind of put his brand and take it to the next level, and have a section on his website that's branded Splinterlands, and show that partnerships like this can work. So expect to see some stuff. I'm sure on my Hive blog. I'm gonna blog about it when I have some more information to share, and maybe a couple designs to share with the team, and make sure they approve everything and all that stuff. But I think coming soon, there's going to be some cool merch that's going to be coming our way if we want to represent Splinterlands and this ecosystem a little bit. And I think we're going to do some cool polls and find out what kind of gear people would like to rock. Is we have some cool ideas on where to go. But anyway, I'm just excited to share that because I think that little things like that go a long way in showing this project grow and seeing this project grow and everything. So that's that. What's your
Sick,
guys'
man.
thoughts? Would you guys buy a T-shirt?
That's awesome. Will they accept crypto? And that's a real question.
I don't know. I think that we talked about that with him and everything. And what I suggested to him was that if this all does happen and everything like that, which I think it's going to introduce himself to the community, create an account, create a Hive wallet, introduce himself to the community, maybe hop on Discord and talk, and kind of maybe come up with a plan of, I said, if you want to get support of this community, I go, don't just try to extract from them. That word extractor, but don't just try to go, I just want to sell shit and everything.
That should be the first T-shirt. The extractor.
The extractor.
That
should be a card.
It should. I think that I said you should try to figure out a way that you could maybe take a portion of every sale and it goes, maybe a small cut of it goes back to the DAO, or or a portion of it
like a buy and burn DEC or something.
Maybe you just buy assets with it. Maybe you just go, I'm going to buy SPS with that. Whatever, do something. I go, maybe by taking a small portion of every sale and just kind of reinvesting it back into this community in some facet would be a smart play. And he was all on board with that. So I think, I don't know what we're going to do exactly or what he's going to do or how it's all going to work. But I think in the very near future, we're going to have some cool T-shirts available, and then we can kind of go from there, and it'll be official merchandise. And I have nothing to do with this besides kind of being the middleman. So like, I don't make anything from this. I don't want to, this is all for him and Splinterlands to figure out. But I just want to connect those pieces, and I think it's a prime opportunity for two parties to kind of to get some benefit from each other and everything. And I think that the community, for the most part, if there was some affordable merchandise, would like to rock that stuff. I know I would.
Sick, man.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, is there a website that we can check out? Offhand?
There, what? There is, but it's not the company name Mass Paranoia. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Bear with me.
I keyed in Mass Paranoia apparel and I got Mass Hysteria.
No.
Sounds like that's probably a competitor.
I asked my guy Jason why he had the website different than his name, and I guess I don't know, there was some reason for it. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Either way, if I don't, I can link it in
they're all crazy.com or something. Does it play to the Mass Paranoia?
No, it was I can't remember.
It's not me, it's them.
No. None of these, sadly. Anyway, I'll find the link and I will share it. But my point, I think early on, like I told him, we want to design some cool things, like maybe something to do with, Vonak, the cry of Pretoria, the battle cry or the toast, the cheer of Pretoria, whatever you want to call it.
Cult champ.
The kind of everything of Pretoria. Yeah. I kind of just put at the end of all my Twitter posts, Vonak, no matter what it is, just Vonak. But maybe something to do with that. Obviously, the logo, the teeth logo, I think something cool there. But if anybody has any ideas, when I link, if you're going to post this on Twitter or on X, excuse me, if you're going to post this on there, I'll link the website there so people can kind of take a look at some of his other designs and things like that. And if people have any ideas as to what would look cool on a T-shirt, let's get a few designs on the way. I think the community helping and kind of chipping in terms of what would you like to rock? What would you rock on a shirt? That has to do with this community.
Should do a Hive contest.
Yeah, maybe we could do something cool like that. Like, once again, sky's the limit. Very early stages of this, but I don't think he's got, and the cool part of that, he's got everything all set up. Like he's got his his distributors, his shippers, he sourced everything all himself. Smart kid. So real nice guy. I'm looking forward to kind of connecting these pieces and then seeing where it goes. I think having some cool official merchandise that Splinterlands endorses and kind of embraces I think can go a long way. I think it's pretty cool because right now we don't have that, and the team doesn't have the resources to you know to deal with it right now. So
Yeah.
if they don't have to do much, I think and we can make some cool stuff happen. I think they're on board, and that's something
Brilliant.
that I know make happen soon. So
Yeah, I love it, man. I hope they ship internationally and not for twice the cost of a t-shirt, but
I think they do ship internationally. I'm almost
nice.
positive.
Man, absolute pleasure getting you on, dude. I love your enthusiasm. I love your ambition for the game. You've been doing so much stuff behind the scenes, it sounds like, and man, I look forward to a lot of the stuff that you talked about kind of coming to fruition over the coming years. I think we are ripe for the picking, despite, you know, that we have suffered a couple of gut punches the last couple of weeks, but it feels like in general we're definitely slowly moving towards the right direction. And it's, you know, like we talked about earlier, I think we're due for some stars to align for Team Splinterlands. And yeah, grateful that we got guys like you out there, you know, kind of preaching the gospel of Vonak, or spreading the cult of Praetoria, however you look at it.
Hanging a poster in your shop.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm so honored to kind of be a part of this ecosystem and everything like that. I think I view it a little bit differently than some do. I see it with big eyes and what it could be, and I don't know if it'll get there. I think it has the potential to get there. And I'm so excited to be along for the ride because I think there's so much cool shit that can happen. And I look forward to you guys going on this journey with me and with all of us, and for all the rest of you listening and everything and a part of this ecosystem. You guys all rock. Hey, to come once again to come into this weird space and kind of it's a weird project to kind of pitch. It's a video game. You own some cool stuff. It's very unique. So I think everyone here deserves a little kudos and a good Vanak, a good hearty Vanak to all of you, for just being rock stars and being part of this ecosystem. And I hope we can kind of keep continuing to build this together, and figure a way to do it together. Because I think there's so much cool shit that can happen. And I really appreciate you guys having me on. This has been a blast, and hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I know I can do that from time to time. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of this and everything.
Absolute pleasure, man. We'll have to do it again. Long overdue. Long time admirer of the peak deep productivity that or high blog productivity that you've been putting out over the years. And I'm a longtime lurker fan. Happy to have
Thank you
on.
so much.
We'll do it again.
You guys do great work and continue to keep kicking ass and everything. And you guys rock. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. All right. Any final thoughts for you, Jimmy?
That was awesome, man. I really appreciate your enthusiasm and everything you kind of threw out there today, man. It was really just a very happy conversation. I'm
It's
in
infectious.
a good space.
It's
Right. I'm in a
infectious.
good space for right now. Yeah.
No, I'm about to take you out of that with some ghost card challenges.
As long as it's all back to basics,
Kick
and you
his
can
ass,
select
Steve
that
ass.
right away.
Oh hell yeah! All right, let's put a bow on this thing.
Guys,
Hopefully you guys
so much.
enjoyed this conversation
Thanks,
even half as much as we did. Again, absolute pleasure for having Blewitt stop by. We'll have to do it again. So in the meantime, appreciate everybody tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will catch you next time. You have been listening to
The People's Guild.
Explosion.